What's your favorite piece of jazz? I guess that's what he's asking.
Nobody asks me, so I don't know. I'm not prepared with an answer.
Okay.
What was yours?
I'm not
Nick?
sure what the style, because jazz is like all different kind of styles of jazz, and I've never heard of this person before. I don't know what they play.
Oh, right. Okay.
What style,
What did you used to say, Nick, when they asked
Well,
you?
I used to go to a place called Ned Kelly's Last Stand, and the Kowloon Honky Tonks used to play there, and they were fun. Anyway, when they had these participation things, you were to write down on a slip of paper what you wanted, and if you wrote something funny, it was usually fun. Anyway, it was Take 5. That was always my
Yeah, I like Take 5.
favorite go-to piece.
That's good.
What's that?
Dave Brubeck.
Dave Brubeck.
Yep.
There you go.
That's a good one. I could
Hi, Mike.
ask for something from Miles Davis or something like
Hi,
that.
Mike
you know.
Kuipers.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike Kuipers. Our lone
Mike's there. I'm
audio,
not
well,
there,
the only
actually.
one
I
that's
need to
made
make
themselves
Available.
present or whatever. It looks like there was 4 in the live chat right now, according to our screen.
One of those might be mine. Am I alive? Yeah, I am kind of. Should turn that
Are
off.
you?
Yeah, I just turned it off.
Okay.
I,
Let's see if the number goes down to 3.
Where do you see how many people are on there?
that little eye up at the top.
Upper right hand.
Aye.
I have no
StreamYard. Do you see the live 140, 141, 142?
Right upper top
upper
of
right
Jeff's
on
corner.
the
head.
left.
Jeff's head.
Somebody said the right. That's
Yeah,
the
I
right.
said the right, but that was stage right.
IO boxes. Ralph.
Details.
Sorry.
Micah.
Hey, look, it's been a while since I've flown airplanes, so I don't really have to worry about left and right anymore.
It's also me, so you had a 58% chance that I was going to look left, even though you said right. So it's totally fine.
Guys, we just quadrupled our audience in the chat room.
Woohoo! Look at that.
Guten Tag, Ralph.
Yes, Ralph.
Hello.
IHO boxes, who we
Deutschland.
haven't seen for a while. I think he arrived the last
Deutschland
show and we were
Alles.
just wrapping up.
So, iHall, where are you located? We have some guesses, but we're not sure. Well, I guess it depends on if you're on
sometimes
a
he's
trip or not.
overseas, yeah.
Right. But why do I have the idea that maybe you're living like Europe, Germany, Belgium, somewhere like that? Am I anything?
The
am I
Low
close, or-
Countries, Netherlands, Belgium,
He's gonna.
Luxembourg.
Well, it takes a while to hear what we said and then answer
No,
it.
I think that's just his slow brain.
He's been
Well,
he's
could
been
be.
super duper busy. He's saying he's been busy. He's not answering
Okay.
your question.
Yeah, he's
where
avoiding the
located.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Nobody wants
for
it. He
some
doesn't want us
tax
to know.
purposes he doesn't want to reveal
Oh,
it.
good,
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. I quite
He's afraid
understand.
Jeff has connections at the IRS, I'm sure.
Did I just
don't.
disappear?
Yes, and now you're back again.
I don't know where I went.
Yeah,
Come on, Bob.
why
You
did you
went
do
off
that?
stage left. If that helps.
Oh, let me see if I can move people around again. Oh, good. There you
Ooh.
go again.
Wow.
Checkmate in 2 moves.
That's great. I don't want to be up there. Because I hated it that when I couldn't do that.
Yeah, iHall doesn't want us to know where he is. Okay,
We'll see.
we get it. We get the picture.
Yeah.
Can we guess?
Will you tell us hot or cold?
How to
Doesn't matter if you're going to tell us we're right.
I'd like to consider myself a citizen of the world, but he's European. Okay, well, that narrows it down.
Does that wait?
Okay.
Does that mean he's in the bathroom?
That's 20-something countries.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping to pinpoint it a little bit
I
more
know.
than just Europe.
Well, I mean, we've got it down to 14% of the planet.
He's a very witty European. IHO boxes makes me laugh a
I
lot.
wouldn't go that
that-
far.
That doesn't make him. Well, he's definitely not German then.
Oh, Ralph!
Oh, wow.
Oh, don't worry, Ralph. Ralph probably understands
Hi,
that.
Mike Price.
He understands German sense of humor.
What?
Okay,
Wait.
Nick, you keep
None.
telling yourself that.
He also has. Is super duper? Is that like a normal slang in Europe or in England? That feels
it's
more
English.
American.
Super
Yeah, I think,
Super duper.
He's got lots of
maybe-
Americanisms, so yeah, maybe he's a
yeah, I think there's some
think-
kind
I
of
think
connection.
maybe he's an
with it.
expat of some
I think this
kind.
is a red
could be.
herring.
I think it's probably more the period you kind of grew up in, whether you're a super duper kind of bloke. Because it's more like
What
a
makes me
phrase you have when
wonder?
you're a kid.
I don't know. I'm just a curious person. I hope.
Yeah, it's just an innate
we
curiosity.
want to know where everybody's
Yeah.
from.
We just want to know where to send the hitmen.
This is the part of the show getting to know you, not getting to know us. We're getting to know
Right.
you.
So, main man Micah prefers the creamed herring. Being of Danish heritage and Norwegian heritage, I do like. Don't they? Isn't that what they have in the jar? The creamed herring.
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
we're
I like
what's
that.
the
mocked.
what's the German? Isn't that a German appetizer as well? Is some kind of herring with?
Maybe.
Yeah, herring with onions and sour cream and.
I don't know. I'm not really hearing what you're saying.
Oh, Jeff, you're so witty. Oh.
Oh, I know. I know. Here, that deserves. Yeah.
You need one that's like just a little bit of a giggle, and then one that's a
Yeah,
little
just
bit
like
more.
I think I do have some somewhere.
I think we need a sad trombone as well.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
But enough about your personal life.
Yeah, yeah. It just plays constantly in my head. Okay. Let's see. Speaking of sound bites and such, let's test Radio Rogers volume.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG.
Sounds good.
It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy,
Guy,
episode
yes.
668.
Yes, I got the right one. Good.
Okay, Micah's got some good trivia here.
The best cream herring that comes out of a jar is made by a company called Acme. Yes, of course.
Yes.
All the best
It's
stuff.
part of your
made by
empire,
Acme.
Jeff.
I know. One of my favorite iPhone weather apps, I think it's on Android as well, is called My Radar. I don't know if you guys
Yes,
use
I know
that or
My
not.
Radar, yeah.
And guess what company makes that?
Whoa, Jeff, you've got your
Acme.
fingers in every pie.
I do.
It's
I think it's
diversified.
Acme. My Radar. Let's see. Oh, shoot. Darn it.
Is that like My Sharona?
Just
Oh,
not
wait a
quite.
minute.
Didn't make it to the top 10 on the charts.
Like maybe they sold it or something. Now it says it's a different.
Oh,
I thought it was Acme. Aviation Data Systems. Huh. Oh wait, at the bottom, copyright 2025. Acme. At Atronomatic, LLC. I think that's a made-up
thank
word.
you, Micah. Yeah, the back. All right, Nick's disappeared now.
We do have on the lineup, Micah, the Captain Al meetup.
Yep. I haven't forgotten it. But just for
And-
everyone's edification, Dr. Steph will be joining us when she gets home. So we're going to have a pretty full crew, except for those two
Oh, I-
laggards, those two guys.
And then Camacho is out completely.
He's working. He's working and working. Work, 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 work.
Work.
But
okay,
Camacho
so-
will be at Oshkosh.
Yes, that's what he says.
Sounds like there will be 4 crew members there. There will be Captain Jeff, Dr.
Hello,
Steph,
here, present.
Camacho, and AJ. Woohoo!
Okay, props.
Mike Price from Lake Norman still has the hat that he got when we had our meetup in Charlotte.
Nice. Hey, Mike. How's everything in Charlotte? Like super stinking hot like it is here in Atlanta? I bet it is. Let's see. Captain Nick, I need to put your stuff up here. I shouldn't have said that. Now that's going to draw his attention to making
Seal noises. or
adjustments.
What? Me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit bored. Perhaps if we started the show.
I know.
it would-
Oh, well, anything for you, Captain Nick. I mean, that's, the world
yeah.
revolves around you. So, okay.
Quickly
I'm
distracted.
doing my best.
something. Hey, listen. That guy stays up late for us all the time. Cut him some slack.
No,
Yeah, and
I
I get-
refuse to.
Drunk just on your behest.
Being high on life.
Poppy,
Okay.
you're growling at.
All right, so we tested that. I got recorders running. Where's Tim Van Ram?
Yeah, that's all right. I reminded you.
Okay. Yeah, we got that going.
Mike Price says it cooled down to 91 in Lake Norman.
Nice. That's what it is over here in Hotlanta.
Hey, at least we've had, a nice solid 3-mile-an-hour wind. That really helps.
That's true. Yeah. Nice breeze. Oh, let me, what's the first item that we do?
Air India.
I gotta share, let me get my
What you
keynote
drinking there,
shared
Nick?
here.
Old speckled hen.
Oh, yes. I didn't know it came in cans.
Well, yeah, it's an English pale ale, and it does now. So I'm sure it always
I saw
did,
you. I saw you shook the last one up just before you poured it out.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I dropped it.
I
in
know.
the chair, and then it promptly foamed over, and I was doing my best to suck it off the top of the can.
Okay, we won't go make any comments about that.
Have you ever played Beer Hunter, AJ?
Beer Hunter?
Like
Yeah, you've
beer
heard of the
roulette?
movie Deer Hunter, where they play Russian roulette, yeah? Mm-hmm. Well, Beer Hunter's where you have a six-pack, and somebody shakes the hell out of one of them, and then you've got to open it beside your ear before you can drink it.
Nice.
I have not.
And
Nick's
eventually
with-
someone gets the one that's
Nick
been
drinks with a
shaken up, and
different
it's very
crowd,
funny.
doesn't he?
We were much more sophisticated in my youth. Have you ever heard of Edward 40 Hands?
Oh, no, I've heard of Edward
Scissorhands.
So what happens is you get 2 40-ounce beers, and they get duct taped to your hands, and you have to finish them before you can go to the bathroom.
Oh my goodness!
How big's a
me.
40-ounce beer?
So what
How
you're
many
holding
ounces
is
in a liter?
about it's
Somebody
so
help.
a regular imperial pint's just over 20 ounces.
40 ounces.
So two pints
2 pints. Okay.
in each hand.
That's all right. 2 pints in each hand.
Yes.
4 pints before you can break the seal.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you'll definitely need to go to the bathroom after that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And
I suppose
probably
if you're a
for
very
several
fast
hours
drinker,
after that.
Micah,
know.
did you see that Mike Price is asking you a question? Did the Geeks not podcast this week? Anyway, are we almost there, Jeffrey?
I think so. I'm just thinking about all this talk about beer. I'm thinking maybe I could I have some cheap Miller Lite in my refrigerator.
Go ahead.
Ooh, I'm going to give yourself a bad name.
Don't drop your standards.
So Jeff's
Well-
coming for a little visit with me before he goes to Oshkosh. So I bought some IPAs, and one of them was a van full of weirdos.
Yes,
And
I
then
saw
the other
that.
one was
great.
Aviator, and it's the guy. The picture on the front is an aviator, and he's got a beautiful big mustache. So it's just like
Oh, fantastic.
so he can.
Well,
take
you've got to
those-
take a picture of it for while he's drinking the can.
I will.
So,
So-
man with a mustache drinking a can with the man with a
I
mustache.
think he should stock up on them while he's here, and then take them over and sell them at Oshkosh. You could autograph them and sell them.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a great idea. Yeah. Oh, I think my eyes have stopped working. Okay, is this making a lot of noise? This
I can't hear it,
no?
but that doesn't mean
Good,
anything.
that's
I don't
fine.
ever seem to be able to hear anything.
Jeff will fix it in post.
He's back.
All right. So I'm going to say this on Unity just to
Okay.
keep the innocent protected.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to mute myself here.
It sounds great. I like it.
So,
Good.
yeah, you're both places, Nick. Good thing you didn't say anything bad.
But well, the real question is, did
Yes,
it work?
good point.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I
well,
like it.
Let's just add that to
Oh, that's just part of your
The list of things.
I thought you were going to go and have coffee, but anyway.
Well, I have
Coffee.
I've done that.
Alcohol is
But-
much better than coffee.
No, I was going to never mind.
Never mind. Let's move on.
Never mind. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
I want to cry. I really do want to cry. Okay, media assets. Let's go down here to the countdown and see if we can do some kind of a show.
Sounds good to me.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 668.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded the week of June 23rd, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, what caused an Air India crash moments after takeoff? And a Cessna crashes off the coast of California. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 668 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast right here, covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
a retired professional dog photographer, former RAF RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330 A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. It's great to be here again. I missed last week. Can you believe it? Anyway,
Oh,
we
no, we
show
missed you.
668. Oh, thank you. Show 668. Anyway, in 1952, there was a Vickers 668 Varsity being used to conduct a check flight for the pilot. He wanted to be a varsity test pilot. So they were doing a single engine approach to an overshoot. Which they did, and having climbed out in the overshoot to 600-700 feet, the aircraft very sadly banked, and then the pilot reported total engine failure. They lost height and crashed, very sadly killing, as you can see from the picture, the bit where the pilot sit is gone. It killed both of them, very sad. The probable cause was the selection of the starboard engine, the right engine, idle cutoff to cutoff, instead of putting the port engine to the run position. So instead of turning the dead engine back on again, he actually shut off the only live engine he had. And sadly, that was the start of his demise. How very sad.
That is sad.
Very sad. Typical of Captain Nick's stories.
Yeah, usually they're not very uplifting. And in this case, they were definitely not uplifting. They were down lifting.
Not enough
no,
lift.
no lifting.
There was no up there at all. It was all down from there on.
And much like my life, no thrusting. All right, let's continue on with this. Sorry. From the north woods of the Atlanta suburbs, race car driver, self-taught chef. Oh, what about the haute cuisine thing? Okay. And a commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot with interest in anything with enough horsepower to kill him. It's That's AJ Schramm. He likes to call himself Alpha Juliet because I think he likes that other show better. So that's why he wants to be known as Alpha Juliet.
Well, you got a brand. You got to keep it, right? I don't know.
Okay.
Good to see you guys. Glad to be here.
Great to have you with us. And later we're going to have Dr. Steph joining us, but we're going to wrap this initial part up by introducing our favorite, or one of our favorites, from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our favorite producer. It's Liz Piper.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I was wondering if you're going to say favorite producer, and then I thought, are there more than one? Are there other producers?
Well, that's, that might actually affect, how nice.
Of all the producers in the world.
There you go.
In all the producery, you're the
in all the
best.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Have a great show, you guys.
Well, thanks, Liz.
Cheers, Liz.
Bye.
Appreciate it. We'll see ya. All right, and hear ya. And we're going to play let's play the news bumper.
Stand by for news.
All right, this first one now, let's just say this. This occurred, about 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks ago now, I think. And we didn't record a show last week, took the week off, and we kind of thought, if we learned something significant regarding this tragedy, we're talking about the Air India 787 crash, then we'd maybe record something like a short, an abbreviated show. But honestly, we got little bits of information here and there, or really more like eliminating what several people thought might be the problem. And so one by one, they were kind of like checked off by, nope, we don't think that's what happened. We're still not entirely sure, and we never got enough to kind of get together and talk about this. And we were hoping that by the time we recorded this show, after our week off, that we would know a little bit more. I guess we do a little bit. So let's just go ahead and dive in and see what we can make of it. Again, this is from the Aviation Herald, one of our favorite sources for aviation news, a Boeing 787-800 operated by Air India at Ahmedabad. Is that how you'd pronounce that? Ahmedabad? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's pretty good.
I got to get that here. All right, here's my bill. Okay. Lost height shortly after takeoff. This was on June 12th, so 15 days ago. A little more than a week ago. Lost height shortly after takeoff. No thrust reported. And the registration on it, Victor Tango Alpha November Bravo. They're performing Flight 171 from Ahmedabad, India to London Gatwick with 230 passengers and 12 crew. So 242 total on the airplane. They departed the runway 23 at 8:08Z, which is 13:38 local time, so just early afternoon, when the crew declared Mayday, no thrust, not taking lift. And the aircraft crashed into the BJ Medical College in Managanagar suburb, or in this case, suburb, but I think that's a misspelling, about 0.9 nautical miles past the runway end. The wreckage spread over 200 meters. Rescue services were at the scene, obviously. At the time of this is the initial report, there are no fatalities or injuries on the ground. However, we know now, with much more information, that I think a total of how many on the ground? 33, I think, maybe. Brought the total up.
A couple sentences later says 39.
Okay, 39. Yeah, so we're looking. So the Aviation Herald reports this in increments, and so as new information comes in, then they provide updates. So what would that total be, AJ, with 39 on the ground and 242? I'm not going to do public math.
280.
280. Okay, so something like that. A lot of people passed away on this. very heavily populated area. It happens that it was like the lunch mess, the restaurant, the lunchroom, or whatever you want to call it, cafeteria at the medical school was actually occupied at the time. It was 1:30, so it's late, the late lunch period, and several of the students and perhaps instructors as well were killed on the ground, which is sad. And then, of course, everybody on board the 787 were, except for one. You're right. There was one survivor, which is like, what? How?
Yeah,
how in
that
the
was
world?
Remarkable, wasn't it? One bloke climbed out.
Yeah, is he still out? I mean, is he out of the hospital
Yeah.
already? Or, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think the reason why, I think they're crediting the fact that he was able to see a gap in the fuselage or the wreckage and got out really quickly. And I think most everybody that perished here, well, probably besides blunt force trauma, but I think a lot of people passed because of the fire, and all the fuel. I mean, think of that. That's a pretty long flight, I think, from India to London, and so that thing had to be pretty fully loaded with jet fuel, I would imagine, or had a large load of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do have some video. Let me play that, Liz. If you'll pop that up, and then I'll do this and hit return and see what happens. Okay, we're seeing the video, seeing the airplane drop down out of view, and then we see the fireball. Okay, that was from News, and I don't know, News None? News N apostrophe N, I don't know. 9? Oh, okay. Thank you. Just a stylized 9, huh? Okay. So stylized that I couldn't figure it out. And let's see, here's another view, I think from a security camera. Actually, it's a video of somebody's screen that's showing the security camera footage. High quality. There we go. And we see it come into view on the right of the screen. It's rolling for takeoff. And this was a good view because a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe they weren't properly configured for takeoff, but it turns out that they were, with 5 degrees of flaps. Yeah, but I don't know if that's so unusual. I mean, that's a it's a pretty heavy airplane. So
pretty long runway though, no?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe that is a factor. Maybe that's a clue in this accident, because they're kind of focusing now. They're kind of focusing now on the engines and the lack of thrust. The Mayday report by the pilot saying that they had no thrust or no lift. Interestingly, let's see, on June 20th, so about a week ago, government officials stated that India's Air Accident Investigation Branch is currently looking into another case of dual-engine problems with an A321 that happened at London Gatwick in 2020, and that involved a Titan A320, actually a 321 at London. Left engine surged. Engine stall indications for right engine was caused by fuel contamination. It appears on preliminary findings there was no error in the cockpit. It appears that as soon as the flight became airborne, the power failure occurred, leaving the aircraft unable to climb to a safe altitude. And I think I also saw some reports that not this particular incident, but they were kind of referring to other incidents where to treat the fuel for like anti-fungal properties or like a fungicide or whatever. A lot of airlines, especially in certain conditions, certain humidity levels and that kind of thing, will put a certain amount, a very, 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 very small amount of this fungicide or whatever they call it, to kind of battle that issue. And and they've had incidents in the past where whoever was measuring out this stuff kind of like put in like 10 times as much as they're supposed to, and apparently the engines don't run very well when you do that. Again, that may have nothing at all to do with this incident, but I do recall seeing something out there where they were kind of talking about other incidents. So usually, sometimes you go, well, I'm wondering why they're talking about that. Is that a possible? Oh, Anthony in our live audience says it was a couple of days later that someone actually pointed out that the rat was deployed. There is a video where you can hear the piston sound as it passes by. Yeah, there is a good audio out there that I don't have, but that you can hear like a buzzing propeller sound as the Air India 787 went by the camera. And a lot of people say that that's the distinctive sound of a rat, which is a ram air turbine, which some airplanes have. And when there's a loss of electrical power or a loss of hydraulic power, or I'm not sure exactly what the parameters are, and I'm assuming that probably changes depending on the airplane and that kind of thing. But the thing automatically deploys to provide electricity and hydraulic power, at least, to help control an airplane if you have bad things going on with some of your systems. And so, yeah, that's definitely part of one of the many clues here on what may have happened. And there also is some confusion and controversy regarding the black boxes, which we all know, people that listen to our show, they're not black, they're orange, kind of a bright fluorescent orange almost. But the black boxes, we call them, were recovered, and for some reason they hadn't been sent to anybody to investigate or to try to figure out. Yeah, I don't know what was going on, but it was just a few days ago, I think, that they were actually finally sent. Somebody had said, well, the Indian authorities don't have the ability to, because one of them was damaged, I think the flight data recorder, and so they're going to have to send it to another place. And I think they took offense to that, and they said, no, we can do it. We can do it. And they haven't been sent elsewhere. India's Air Accidents Investigation Branch is still in receipt of these things, I believe. Oh, they sent them to New Delhi, but they're still in India and being read out. Hopefully we'll hear something soon. I was hoping by the time we recorded the show today that we would have heard something, but apparently not. They haven't released anything. So, okay, what do you think, guys? I mean, this is a horrible, horrible accident. And can you imagine? I'm just trying to put myself in that cockpit. How helpless things must have been when you have full power. In this case, it was a Boeing, so the throttles are probably jammed to the firewall or beyond to get the engines to provide enough thrust to continue flying the airplane, and then the airplane's just sinking. So that must have been a horrible feeling.
Oh, yeah. Golly, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, it's actually a very quick crash, really, from that point of view. They climbed to 600 feet, and then within 10 seconds, 15 seconds, they're in the ground. They've barely got time to analyze, let alone react to whatever faults they had on the aircraft. I'm just going to make a couple of comments because we're all sort of guessing, and we're still guessing. And quite honestly, I'm very glad, Jeff, that we didn't try and put out an early analysis of this, because a lot of aviation podcasts have, and of course, everything that they've said at the moment really has turned out to be probably wrong, because they were just too quick and they wanted to get something out. And they made quite, what I think was quite sensible guesses. Same sort of things were going through my mind, but with a little bit of time now, we're being able to probably center in on what the issues might have been. But quite honestly, this is so difficult to put a finger on the actual cause. That rat, it's a very fuzzy piece of video that might have or might not show that there's a rat sticking out. And if it is, then it could be an electrical problem. It's likely it was a double engine problem, because that's another way that rat deploys. And I've been beside aircraft with rats out. I don't I don't ever recall that really distinctive noise, but I'll bow down to people who have more knowledge of it. But that to me is still very much unproven. And you've got to have complete engine failures before that comes up. Of course, there are a couple of scenarios that possibly might have occurred. You might have had a single engine failure, and then sadly a quick reaction from those on the flight deck might have ended up shutting down the wrong engine, so you end up with the dual engine failure. It could well have been fuel contamination, except that there are normally so many checks made on the fuel that's very unlikely. And the very few instances that I've covered even in plain tales of dual engine failures because of fuel contamination, there have been only a handful, really. But then again, you've had a handful, perhaps you can have one more. Why not? Mistakes or just accidents or just unfortunate circumstances continue to happen. Bird strikes, well, I think they've probably said, no, it's not a bird strike. What was they've got sufficient information to be able to say that. We're watching the video looking for signs of engine surge or stall, which are often accompanied by a bit of flame or smoke. And we're not seeing that, but that doesn't mean to say they didn't occur. However, dual engine stalls are pretty damn rare, and for both engines not to show any visible indications, So we're still sort of hanging in there, looking at almost all the evidence we can gather, and we're drawing blanks, basically. But, it's not going to be long before we get the analysis, and we will have some idea of what's going on. Yeah, they're pretty experienced captain, and I don't know if the first officer was under training or what, but he's got a reasonable number of hours. So, yep, I'm not going to try and put anything there to say that with an inexperienced first officer this could have occurred. No, I think this is just a straightforward flight. The biggest tragedy is that, of course, there's an awful lot of built up areas around the airports, generally speaking, in India, because it's highly populated cities, and any crash that's going to be close to the airport is going to probably take other lives with it, which is so dreadfully sad. I'm with you. I have no idea how that one British man managed to escape from the wreckage before it all went up in flames. He's amazing. And he did speak of power interruptions causing the cabin lights to flicker, which makes us think, well, I wonder if that was, a situation of the engines failing and then the power having to be picked up by a rat or something. But, we're all guessing, and we're going further and further down the road of, I wonder what it could be. And looking at the aircraft attitudes, I am personally going, yes, loss of engine thrust, and then increasing angle of attack. So eventually the aircraft loses lift because it's gone past the critical angle of attack, and it's effectively stalling, and it's mushing down into the ground. Whether that's a complete loss of thrust or just partial, I don't know. But and the captain's mayday call is, to me, one of the key pieces of evidence. He knows that he's got a problem with his thrust, and that's what he says over the radio. And what has caused that, that's what we're all waiting to find out.
Well, we have some comments from our live chat room from Peter Tarantelli. Seems like every time a new bit of evidence came out, everyone had a new hypothesis. Yeah, there's like a whole drama going on in the world of aviation YouTubers out there, and it just seems like there's a whole bunch of new people out there and just jumping on that bandwagon. And I just sat back. I think we probably all did, and thought, okay, we're going to go ahead and let them go and throw some stuff out there, and somebody got very upset with one of the people out there saying that the guy threw the pilots under the bus because he was suggesting. Now, it wasn't an unreasonable suggestion in my mind that it's possible, because we've seen it happen in real life and also in many, many times in the simulator, where you get the call for positive rate and then the command gear up, and then instead of reaching for the gear handle, the pilot monitoring actually grabs the flap handle and puts the flaps up. And that will cause a loss of lift, because the reason why you have the flaps out is to change the shape of the wing to make it produce more lift at a lower speed. So I have seen it. I've seen it happen more than once in a simulator, not in real life, thankfully. But so that really wasn't that kind of an outrageous kind of suggestion that at very, very early on. That's why it's always dangerous to say something very, very early on in one of these crashes. And mainly the reason that I decided many, many years ago, I think, what was the Asiana 777 crash in San Francisco, 2013, I think, when I was watching the people on television covering this thing, because I'd always thought, man, wouldn't that be a great thing? Get on CNN or one of the big networks and be their aviation expert and talk about what you think might have happened. And then when I was watching all this coverage, I'm thinking, yeah, no, I don't want to do that, because no matter what you say, you're gonna look foolish, and you're gonna say the wrong thing, and it's just like not a win-win, a lose-lose situation in my mind. So that's when I made the decision very long ago that nope, Captain Jeff is not going to be the aviation expert that you see analyzing these accidents right after the fact. What was the guy's name? The Malaysian 777 disappearance, Malaysian 370, American Airlines captain. He was a 777 captain. Beautiful mustache. I had mustache envy of this guy. Captain, gosh darn it, I'm trying to remember his name. Anyway. He was the guy. I thought, if I ever do something like this, I'm going to be like him. And what he did was, every time one of the journalists, and I'm using air quotes, asked him to say something provocative and shocking and whatever, he'd just say, well, anything's possible, but until we have actual evidence, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say what I think it could be. That everything is a possibility at this point. What? Okay, Pilot Pip says rats, ram air turbines do have a very distinctive high-pitched noise, but I don't believe it was deployed in this case. Okay, there you go. He also says, my money is incorrect VNAV setup, which was incorrectly diagnosed as double engine failure. Oh, only because it has almost happened a few times before. Interesting. I guess, would that be kind of something regarding that 777 that took off from a Middle Eastern airport but they, in this case, they were blindly following the flight director bars and basically almost flew the airplane right into the ground? I'm not sure. I do know that the VNAV system is connected to the engine electrical control or the FADEC system and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. I could see that as a possibility. But again, I'm not going to hang mine out there and say this is what I think, because, again, we won't really know until we get that flight data recorder read and we actually have some, tangible evidence. But Dr. Steph is on final approach to the home recording studio, the Lakeside Cottage in Kakalaki. So that's good to hear. All right. Let's see. So we had the idea that maybe the airplane was, Emirates 777. Thank you, Pip. So the idea that possibly a misidentification of or misactuation of a flight control surface possible. They kind of ruled that out. The fact that it may have been misconfigured for takeoff. And again, that 787 wing it has a very clean look to it, and when it's in the 5-degree flap takeoff setting. And a lot of people jumped on that because, a lot of that video is not really super clear, not very high resolution. So it's really hard it's the same thing with the ram air turbine. It's hard to really see if that thing was out there. I did, as I mentioned before, I did see/listen to the video of the sound of something that sounded like I would imagine a rat would sound, but I've never heard one in real life, so I don't know. What was some of the other ideas? Oh, as Captain Nick mentioned, bird strike, but they didn't find any evidence at all of bird carcasses and that kind of thing. And they also immediately after this accident checked the fuel supplies to make sure that there was no contamination. And I think the thing that points to it not being the case is the fact that operations resumed, relatively soon after this crash, and they were using that fuel supply. So apparently that wasn't the issue.
There was one that I read that was about the fact that this airplane had sat on the ramp for several hours in such a high temperature. I mean, it was 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit. And it didn't quite pass the giggle test for me, but they were saying that because the airplane sat there for so long without air conditioning on inside the airplane, that everything got so hot that the fuel, they didn't say boiled, but essentially
vaporized
and became aerated somehow, therefore less dense, therefore less power.
Yeah, but is it really that unusual for that location to have that kind of condition?
That's exactly what I was thinking. So it's just another one of those theories that kind of got thrown out right away. It said, "Oh, it's not the flaps; it's got to be this." That doesn't even really make a lot of sense to me. But I'm not a doctor, so.
The other thing I've realized over the years is usually when something like this happens, the thing that jumps into my head immediately, I'm thinking, I'm sure that this is what happened. Almost 100% of the time. I mean, I doubled the 50% guarantee, accuracy guarantee. Almost 100% of the time, I am absolutely wrong. So
it's the opposite of the old rule that your first instinct is usually right.
Yeah. In my case, if it's Captain Jeff's first instinct, is usually wrong. So, yeah. Anyway, so we'll be keeping our eyes and ears open for any updates regarding the reading of the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder and any other evidence that may surface. And I'm hoping maybe by this weekend, we're recording this on Friday, the 27th of June. Maybe by the weekend or early next week, we'll actually have something tangible to talk about and perhaps, or some tangible evidence. And we'll address that in our next episode. And unless we have anything else to add, let's go ahead and continue on. We did take quite a while with that one, but that deserved to be, had some time spent on it. You remember back in, let's see, when was this? The January 7th, 2024. So about a year and a half ago. There was a 737 MAX. That took off. It was an Alaska Airlines flight 1282, took off from Portland, Oregon. And then all of a sudden there was a large hole in the left side of the fuselage. A really beautiful view of the lights below, although it's not something that most
window
people...
got a lot bigger.
Completely in an uninterrupted view.
Yeah.
Lots of places you pay extra for a view like that.
No kidding.
Indeed.
No kidding. Yeah. So let's see. So we'll remind you again. They took off. It turns out it was a door plug. That door plug panel that blew out shortly after takeoff. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy. And this is their. Is it the final or the? Okay, they had NTSB had a meeting, and this is a report of the meeting. Okay, so the chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board, Jennifer Homendy, praised the air crew, for getting all 177 people on board back to the gate at Portland International Airport safely. And they all stayed inside the fuselage, too, so that's a good thing. This accident never should have happened, she said. The safety deficiencies that led to this accident should have been evident to Boeing. another mark against once amazing, proud, thank you, manufacturer, aviation manufacturer. They're trying to fix everything over there. The incident on the 5th of January, 2024, raised major questions about safety and quality control. 17 months later, the members of the NTSB met in Washington to hear the results of the board's investigation. The board concluded that the probable cause of the accident was Boeing's failure to provide adequate training, guidance, and oversight to its factory workers, according to a meeting summary. A meatery is like I'd like to call it, released by the NTSB. Investigators say they still don't know who reinstalled the door plug panel at Boeing's factory without replacing 4 key bolts that were supposed to hold it in place. So I guess they had to do some kind of a job that involved riveting the fuselage skin, and they had to remove the door plug panel to access that area. And in the world of aviation maintenance, it's a very complicated system of and checks and balances. And if you do something and remove something or whatever, you're supposed to keep a record of all that kind of stuff. And apparently, people didn't follow that in this case. So I think one of the most interesting things about this, the report of this meeting, was this paragraph. They talk about there were 24 workers on the door team at the Boeing factory near Seattle that builds the 737 MAX, according to the investigators. But only one of them had previous experience removing a door plug panel, and he was on vacation in September 2023 when the door plug panel was removed and reinstalled. Okay, this accident happened in January, but this panel was removed and reinstalled way back in September of 2023.
So it wasn't an immediate failure. It wasn't the first flight. It was this whole story. Everything that's come out about this just seems like a lot of news saying there's no more news. There's nothing new.
True.
It's frustrating.
True. Yeah, I guess those bolts kind of really don't hold it in place. They just kind of keep the door from sliding up and down, and then getting to a point where they can
big hooks, and it keeps the hooks from unhooking essentially.
Yeah. So that's why it flew so many times, I think, without anything like this occurring. But it was just eventually going to happen, and sure enough, it did on the 5th of January, 2024.
Yeah, apparently even just one of those bolts would have been sufficient to keep it in place. So they all 4 had to be missing for it to do what it did.
And they never found any of those bolts, by the way.
They didn't check the dumpster behind Boeing,
or the factory, somebody didn't check the dumpster.
They have no idea, or that no one's admitting to who did it, is also very telling.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that is so true.
Boeing tried to point it at Spirit and say, this, that, and the other. And Spirit said, no, you took it out. You put it back.
Right. It wasn't the manufacturer of the parts. It was the person that removed it to do something else, and then they didn't put it back in properly. And they didn't document. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of, the old Funyuns lining up kind of thing. Or if you prefer, the darn Swiss cheese model, which I think is...
Oh, no. Funyuns are definitely
salty snacks
more advanced.
Salty snacks are definitely much better, yeah. Okay.
Of which I have one here.
Oh, do you?
It's not a Funyun.
What is that salty snack you have?
This salty snack is pork scratchings.
Ooh.
Very healthy.
Oh, hey, look at that.
I also have salty
speaking of
snacks,
salty,
which are actually, speaking of salty.
But
I have saltines. And
saltines.
You put some chocolate frosting on it and make it extra healthy.
What?
I feel like nobody has heard this. Is my favorite childhood snack.
The frosting or the saltines?
Together. You put chocolate frosting on the saltine. You know, salty, sweet.
That's that's true. Yeah, like the salted caramel
all I'm saying
chocolate.
Is don't knock it until you try it. And you can try it with almost any type of frosting, but chocolate I think is the best. So.
Have you tried it with banana on it too?
No.
And peanut butter?
No, but you gotta do the
and a little bit of honey.
You gotta do the sweet sugary part of it.
maybe some
any of
sausage
these
links.
suitable for
I'm going to sit here and
diabetics?
enjoy. No, it's not. Sorry. But I'm going to sit here and enjoy my delicious saltine and chocolate frosting.
Mike
Afterwards
is taking
snack.
it a step further. He said
Yeah,
saltines
Micah
with
says-
cream cheese and guava paste.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Guava.
Anything with
Guava
paste in the
paste?
name, I'm in.
Oh my God.
Guano paste.
You guys are making me hungry, except for the guano thing. Yeah, I think you just. Okay, moving on. Okay. Yes. Okay. This actually happened right before the Air India thing. In fact, we had it in our show lineup the last time we did the show, and for some reason we decided not to do it. I think because we had so much news already, we thought, well, we'll just cover it next week. Well, we didn't do a show the next week, so and then this Air India thing came up, and we're thinking, okay, this kind of got buried. But this is significant, and now it's not, wasn't in the news as much as the Air India thing because, this is an accident that did not involve an airliner and hundreds of passengers dying. But it did involve an airplane with several, well, how many? 6 that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Don't conflate
Yeah,
them.
I'm not. This is I'm actually, believe it or not, it's hard to believe, but I'm not confused that this is involving a Cessna 414, a twin engine propeller aircraft that crashed. Yes, but as she said, our producer was telling us that we also have talked about that other accident of a Cessna jet. Yeah, we have that in our lineup as well. So, a couple of aviation accidents, serious ones, have occurred in the San Diego area in the last month or so. So this one involved a Cessna 414, and I think we were talking about this before we recorded. That what is this thing called again? A Conquest?
The Chancellor.
Chancellor. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, you said you didn't like that name.
Yeah, maybe it's because I just never have heard it. But anyway, the Chancellor, I don't know if you can hear that, but there's some, it was thunder.
I did hear that,
and
yes.
a thunder clap in the background here. So let's see. This airplane, November 414BA, crashed into the ocean about 3 miles west of Point Loma, California, shortly after takeoff from San Diego International Airport. The pilot and 5 passengers were fatally injured. A debris field was located drifting toward shore shortly after the crash. The aircraft took off from runway 27 at San Diego International Airport, SAN, on a flight to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. After receiving instructions to turn to a heading of 180 after departure, the pilot radioed that he was struggling to maintain heading and altitude. ADS-B data shows that the aircraft entered a descending left turn, losing 1,900 feet in 13 seconds. The aircraft began to climb again, but ADS-B showed erratic altitude and heading changes until the moment the aircraft impacted the surface of the water about 6 minutes after it had departed. We do have some video of this, so let me cue that up. And I think this is it. Okay. And is this the incident? I want to make sure I'm doing this in the correct order because we actually have a couple of. I think this is. Shoot. Okay, let's find out. If not, then I'll stop. There we go. Maybe. Hello? No, it was. Okay. I just didn't hear anything. Okay, let me try it again. Is anything moving? No. Okay. How about now? I love this. Okay, hang on.
You broke it.
Probably user error, I think. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, they're moving.
November 414 Bravo Alpha, wind 270 at 10, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
That's the accident airplane. Okay, they're performing flight sign. We already talked about this. Get decent, well, kind of overcast skies, 1,500 feet. It was a layer.
Southwest 2290, disregard traffic holding in position, runway 27, you are still clear to land.
Okay, understand now. Clear to land 27, Southwest 29.
Okay, somebody coming in for landing.
414 Bravo Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Over to SoCal, 4 Bravo Alpha. SoCal departure, 414 Bravo Alpha, to 1,000.
414 Bravo Alpha, SoCal departure, radar contact. Bravo Alpha, turn left heading 180.
Left heading 180 for Bravo Alpha.
Four Bravo Alpha approach.
4 Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, what's your altitude?
1,000 feet, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, low altitude alert. Advise you climb and maintain 4,000 immediately.
Climb, maintain 4,000 immediately, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, are you doing okay there? Do you need any assistance?
Affirmative, I can get.
If I could get what? Climbing through 1,600.
Bravo Alpha, what seems to be the issue?
Just struggling right now. The present maintain heading and climb.
LJ 234, clear direct Julian.
Clear direct Julian, LJ 234.
For Bravo Alpha, you're struggling to maintain altitude and headings. Maintain as high as you can for now, at least above 2,000.
Maintain above 2,000, 4 Bravo Alpha.
For Bravo Alpha, the closest airport I can get you to is North Island Airport, which is off your left in like 1 mile. Do you see that?
Negative, 4 Bravo Alpha.
LJ 234, LA Center 128.6.
28.6, LJ 234, good day.
Southwest 2021, cancel tip-up clearance Earth.
Southwest 2921, number tower. Hold short 27 Bravo 1 to read back.
Right, we're holding short Bravo 1, Southwest 2921. Right, holding short 27 at Bravo 1.
Thank you.
Under 4 Bravo Alpha, 4 Bravo Alpha, there's an airport off of your east side, and about 3 miles is a crisscross runway. It's North Island. It's your closest airfield.
Made it.
4 Bravo Alpha, if you see North Island, you're cleared to land. 4 Bravo Alpha, if you see the airport, you are cleared to land. Your 4 Bravo Alpha, approach. 4 Bravo Alpha, low altitude alert, climb immediately. 4 Bravo Alpha, radar contact lost 6 southwest of San Diego Airport.
Lost control.
Potential aircraft awaiting departure off of Limburg. It's going to be a couple minutes. There's an aircraft offshore, maybe coming in emergency.
4 Bravo Alpha, approach.
Police 1, number tower.
Police 1.
Hey, Police 1, can you guys accept an offshore westbound? We just had an aircraft that possibly went down offshore.
Police 1, affirmative.
Police 1, Roger. Proceed westbound, maintain south of the runway center line.
And Police 1, how far offshore?
Last time we saw him, he was approximately I'd say maybe 2 miles offshore to the southwest of OB Pier.
Police 1, we're not going to go 2 miles offshore, but we'll work with our equipment. We're going to, right now, take Harbor Island, south of the field, westbound toward the OB Pier.
Okay, copy. Yeah, just trying to get eyes.
Understood, Police 1.
4 Bravo Alpha, SoCal approach. November 4 Bravo Alpha, SoCal approach. 4 Bravo Alpha approach. 414 Bravo Alpha approach.
Police, helicopter, and Coast Guard planes were sent to scan the area. Debris was found. Okay, so the airplane crashed. Let's see, let me go back to some of the narrative here. I believe, well, it doesn't really talk about it here, but Liz, if you could show the track, three-dimensional, path of the aircraft. So we're looking from the north southward. That's runway 27 on the left, and they took off, heading out to the west over the water. And then at a certain point, you see the thing kind of start doing some weird maneuvers, like a really tight left turn and dive, and then recovering from the dive, almost like they're doing aerobatics, and then kind of sort of under control, heading southward a little bit more. And then as it climbs above a certain altitude, the thing starts to enter a tight left turn again, and then a descent, and eventually it shows the track going into the water. I believe that there was a layer of clouds. The base is about 1,500 feet, and the tops, I think, were just about 2,000, a little over 2,000. So it wasn't a very thick layer of clouds, but it looks like every time they climbed up into the clouds, then we get this really erratic control or loss of control of the aircraft. And as you have guessed, many people are surmising that this person didn't exercise a lot of instrument flying skills. I don't think there's an autopilot in this particular airplane. I think it was probably
there
all
could be.
hand.
There might be.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be
Okay,
an
that might
autopilot.
be. But it doesn't look up. Well, I don't think it was.
I don't think he
connected
was
here.
using it.
Yeah, I don't think he was using that. If they did have one. So what I'd like to do next is the day before. There's also him. The same pilot in the same airplane coming into San Diego on an instrument approach, and we can hear that he was struggling a bit the day before. You want to listen to that a little bit, maybe?
Sure.
Okay, why don't you put that up, Liz? And I'll hit this. Okay, the day before, 1,800 over.
Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, for sequencing, flight heading of 270, maintain at or above 7,500.
270 at or above 7,500. 4 Bravo Alpha.
American 23621, looking at the cloud coverage ahead, do you think someone will be able to make it in VFR?
It'll be tight. I doubt it for American 2361.
American 2361, thank you very much. Maintain 170 knots or greater to the final approach fix. Contact San Diego Tower. Good night.
170 or greater to the final approach fix for American 2361.
Tower 3346, fly present heading, descend to maintain 5,000.
Present heading down to 5,000, Scout 3346.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, American on final said it's going to be probably unlikely that to be able to make it into VFR. Say your request.
Request to go IFR then 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, roger. Just fly heading 270 at or above 6,500. I'll have the IFR clearance here shortly.
270 at or above 6,500, 4 Bravo Alpha. Approach Southwest 3344, 10,500, descending 10,000, information Sierra.
Southwest 3334, SoCal approach, good evening. Descend via the Lucky 1 arrival at Lindy, cleared approach runway 27.
Descend via the Lucky 1 at Lindy, cleared approach 27, Southwest, cleared approach 27, Southwest 3344.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, vector sequencing, turn left heading 180.
Left heading 180, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, descend to maintain 6,500.
Descend to maintain 6,500, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, clear to San Diego Airport, your present heading, descend to maintain 6,000.
Clear to San Diego, present heading 4,500, 6,500, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, present heading, descend to maintain 5,000 now.
5,000, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha for spacing, it's going to be a vector across final.
Vector across final, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, turn right heading 290 and proceed and join the localizer.
290, join the localizer, 4 Bravo Alpha.
And Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, which approach are you set up for?
The RNAV, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, roger, heading 290, proceed direct to VIDA, descend to maintain 5,000.
Clear direct VIDA, descend to maintain 5,000, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, turn left heading 270 direct to VIDA.
270 direct to VIDA, 4 Bravo Alpha.
November 4 Bravo Alpha, heading of 250, intercept final.
250, 4 Bravo Alpha.
November 4 Bravo Alpha, report established on the final approach course. Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, you're not clear yet. You're not clear for the approach yet. You maintain the 3000. Are you established?
Maintain 3000. I just make my left-hand turn, then I'm be on 4 Bravo Alpha.
4 Bravo Alpha, roger. Just descend and maintain 3000. Join the final approach course, please. Let me know when you're established.
Descend and maintain 3000, 4 Bravo Alpha, and I'll let you know. Four Bravo Alpha is established.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha cleared. Approach runway 27. Maintain your best forward speed as long as you can. Contemplate turbulence intro 737.
Best forward speed 4 Bravo Alpha.
Southwest 410, turn right heading 240, intercept final.
Right 240, intercept the final, Southwest 410.
Twin Cessna 4 Bravo Alpha, contact San Diego Tower. Good night.
Over to Tower 4 Bravo Alpha.
Southwest 410. A mile from Vida, maintain 4,000 till established, cleared RNAV Zulu, runway 27 approaching.
Alright, we're cleared the RNAV Zulu to 27, Southwest 410.
November 4 Bravo Alpha, tower you up?
Yes, I am, 4 Bravo Alpha.
4 Bravo Alpha, verify you're correcting, you have the fuel in sight?
Yes, I have the field in sight, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, and that low altitude alert. November 4 Bravo Alpha, runway 27, clear to land.
27, clear to land, 4 Bravo Alpha.
They're showing this track, and it's just all over the place. Zigzagging. Looks like this is where he finally has sight of the runway. Now he's going straight in.
Right, Charlie 6, contact ground.
He's on the ground.
4 Bravo Alpha, looks like you missed Charlie 6, next one. Bravo 7, left. Expedite off, contact ground.
Bravo 7, expedite off. 4 Bravo. San Diego ground, that's my 414 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, 414 Bravo Alpha, Lima Ground Taxi Bravo Alpha, Alpha 2, hold short 27 at Bravo 4.
Bravo Alpha, Alpha 2, and hold short, Bravo.
Short 27 at Bravo 4.
Hold short at 27 at Bravo 4, Bravo.
Conquest 4 Bravo Alpha, traffic will hold in position, cross runway 27 at Bravo 4 to signature, Charlie Hotel.
Cross runway 27, Bravo 4, Hotel.
Bravo Alpha, cross the runway. 4 Bravo Alpha, make the right turn on Charlie, and then your first left.
Right turn on Charlie, first left, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, we're watching a depiction.
4 Bravo Alpha, you're going through the apron, you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to stay on the taxiway. Zebra 2, ground you up.
Hey, ground Zebra 2, go ahead.
Zebra 2, there's a Conquest 4 Bravo Alpha that's going into signature. They've turned off hotel on down Juliet, then went through the apron area. So you might want to go check for lights and go talk to them.
Roger that, thank you.
Yikes. Wow. Okay. So to say that this pilot, yeah, Peter in our live audience says he sounds really young. Yeah, he does. He does sound very young. To say that he was overwhelmed in a lot of ways is a big understatement. Not only was he, I think, overwhelmed with trying to fly that airplane on the RNAV approach and instrument meteorological conditions. If you see, and we'll have this video linked in the show notes, you can kind of see the simulated reproduction or reenactment of the radar tracking of this final approach course, and it's just zigzagging all over the place, and you could hear the controllers trying to help him as much as they could. And then looks like once he got below that cloud layer, then he was able to go straight to the runway, but it wasn't over yet. Then on the ground it was complicated again, and had some trouble figuring out exactly how to get to Signature Aviation, which is the fixed base operator there on the north side of the runway. Yeah, so that was just kind of a little bit of an indication that perhaps what this young man was tasked with doing was maybe a little bit more demanding than he was ready to handle. And then, of course, the next day, the tragedy, where it seems as if that as soon as he actually flies into instrument meteorological conditions, his cross-check or instrument cross-check or whatever you want to call it just fails completely, miserably. And in fact, there was some kind of a witness that said that they were out there on the water and they saw the airplane exit the clouds at a very steep angle. It looked like it was almost nosediving toward the water, and he was able to recover the aircraft before it hit the water and then climb right back up into the clouds. And then, of course, we know that the result was finally he lost control and then crashed into the water. But the person that witnessed this could have sworn that this is somebody out there doing some kind of an air show maneuver, aerobatic maneuver. All right, so I don't know what. Do we know anything else about this? And
I don't think so.
That was going to be my question. Is we don't know anything about this guy's experience or even who he is.
And unfortunately, until we see like an official report from the NTSB, and we'll be watching out for it because they'll obviously going to be in, because there was the pilot and then 5 passengers, 6 people lost their lives in this tragedy. Trusting that this pilot was competent to be able to do this job. And gosh, sad, so sad. So I'm going to let our general aviation pilots kind of talk about this a little bit, because it's kind of out of my league.
The first thing, like you said, is my first impression was he was just totally overwhelmed. A lot of kind of non-standard responses to some of the calls and stuff. The other thing I noticed on the depiction from VAS Aviation, which I think he uses ADS-B data to create that radar track, and it looked like he was carrying a pretty high ground speed all the way down the final. I mean, it was showing 170 knots almost to the final approach fix.
They asked him to maintain best forward speed, so
that doesn't help.
That doesn't help. And
that doesn't mean you have to go.
Right. Yeah.
If he's overwhelmed, that could lead to that.
Well,
I see that, but
that's part of airmanship, right? I mean, to know what your capabilities are and what your limitations are, and to say, hey, I'd love to, but I can't go that fast. I need to, just unable.
Yep, that magic word.
Slow it down. Unable.
Because
it's the air traffic controller's problem, not yours at that point. Hey, I really wished I could help you out, but I know we got airliners in front of me and behind me, and they're coming in, they're smoking, and you got this sequence, but you know what? That's more than I can do. So I mean, obviously you're not going to say that, but go ahead.
In that scenario, you don't have to say anything. He said he didn't give you a speed to maintain. He said maintain your best forward speed. Well, my best forward speed in that scenario to be safe would be 120, 130 maybe, right? A little bit dependent on the airplane, but I mean that airplane behind me in the picture there, the Malibu, is similar cruise speed, similar performance, and we're slowing it down on the approach a lot farther out than that, just to have everything gathered up and be on a stabilized approach. So I think he was just totally overwhelmed.
Yep. No, I agree with you, AJ, and I think he was just really behind that particular airplane. He was perhaps either unpracticed or not as proficient as he should have or could have been for the locations that he's flying to, large international airport, and the types of flying that he's trying to do.
Okay. Liz just passed me some information about the people talking about their family member, the pilot's name, from Pima, Arizona, and his wife was also on board, and then I think they had 2 young children that weren't on the airplane, but they're left behind now. And then also a father and his 3 adult sons, also I saw some pictures of this, also from Arizona, were also reportedly on the plane. That's two families. Just so sad and so senseless, Robert Pring in our live audience, he should have never climbed back into the clouds, very clearly disoriented. Yeah, I thought the same thing, like the first time I'm going, okay, I just about killed everybody on this airplane. Let's just stay below the clouds, make something up if you have to. We got some kind of a thing, we got to go back or, land at North Island. The controller was trying to help him out. Of course, if you're in the clouds and you can't see anything, that, the airport 1 mile off your left is not going to really be helpful unless you can get below those clouds. Maybe if somebody on the frequency had kind of recognized what was happening, like, hey, dude, just get below the clouds, get below that layer, and just proceed VFR to some airport, and you're going to stay alive.
I think it's back to AJ's point about, being part of airmanship, know your limitations, know what's, gosh, as soon as I climb into the clouds, I'm having trouble maintaining heading in an altitude. I'm not having that problem when I can see, head back there and figure out what I need to do. Aviate first.
Yeah, it's a scenario where you got to be willing to admit your limitations as well, and that's tough for. I mean, most people that are in this industry are very type A driven type personalities, and admitting a deficiency is a very difficult thing.
Do you say that's a flaw in pilot's character?
I don't know if I go that far, but
yeah. But we
knows,
do, we're proud people,
and I don't know
there
about
was something
you,
going on, as I say, physically with him, even just something like sinus congestion, ear block, if that makes things a whole lot more disorienting for you than it would be normally. Maybe he's going, I don't normally have this problem. I fly instrument approaches all the time. I fly in instrument conditions all the time. I can't figure out what's going on. He's thinking it's, I don't know. We don't know what happened here for sure. But
based on his radio etiquette, I don't think that's the case.
Well, I don't know. Just trying to think of all the possibilities.
Right. You've got to give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess. I mean, but we all started out at a certain level, and then improved our skills over the years and experience and everything else. And that's why, if you're out there traveling on an airplane and you see somebody that looks old like me and has, gray, white hair, it's not a guarantee necessarily, but there's probably a good chance that this person, being older, has a lot of experience and perhaps some wisdom, maybe not.
What's the old saying? There's old pilots and there's bold pilots, but there's not a lot of old bold pilots. Exactly.
And I've heard people tell me that they say they peek into the cockpit and they see somebody like me that has a big full head of gray or white hair. They go, yeah, okay, I can relax now. Either that guy's really, really lucky or he has some flying skills. Yeah, shut up, Liz. Yeah, I fool a lot of people. So we, we'll probably learn more about this in their investigation at some point. So hopefully we'll be able to track back to it.
Did we get the actual preliminary report yet? Has that not even come out yet?
I don't think so. Not yet.
I heard Liz say not yet.
Yeah. So we were going to cover the other San Diego preliminary report. We do have that, but we're kind of running. We spent a lot of time on these first two news items. And if you guys don't mind, I'd like to maybe cover just one quick one, the O1E, EASA. Okay, this is from airguide.info. Europe's, let's see, European Aviation Safety. What does that stand for? EASA. I should know that. European Aviation Safety
Union
Agency.
That's it. Yep.
Okay. They halt plans for a single pilot. This is airline, but airliner. It would be tough to maintain single pilot airline operations. That makes more sense. European. Oh, it's right there. Shoot. All I had to do is scroll down. European Union Aviation Safety Agency has paused its efforts to develop regulations for single pilot airline operations, stating that even the most advanced flight decks are not yet sophisticated enough to replace the presence of two human pilots. Wonder where have we heard that before?
Can I just start celebrating this news now?
Hey, all I have to do is call us up and say, hey, what do you think of the idea of single pilot airliner ops? And we would have said, no.
They don't have to hide it. We won't gloat.
Yeah, we won't. We won't. Not much, anyway. Yeah. In a report released Friday, June 20, EASA said it would not proceed with rulemaking for extended minimum crew operations, which is little e, MCO, until cockpit technologies can match the safety standards achieved by having two qualified pilots on board for all phases of phases of flight. Duh. The agency emphasized that future systems must include capabilities for workload management, pilot health monitoring, security threat detection, on autonomous safety backups, and a place for them to relieve themselves like a toilet. The reason why I say that is because that was some cover art, I think, that our expert artist came up with. We had an idea for how we can achieve these single pilot operations, right, Captain Nick?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I think we ought to patent that pilot seat toilet.
Liz, have you heard from EASA? Has anybody contacted us about that design? They're not interested now. Okay. Oh, is it? Oh, no. Okay. So the decision effectively halts progress toward a policy framework that could allow airplanes to operate long-haul flights with just one pilot in the cockpit for certain segments. Okay, so this getting a little bit more, not like the entire flight, but certain segments of a flight, maybe at cruise altitude on a long international flight. But still, there's some risk involved there. And we said, no, you don't really need to be doing that because you don't know what's going to happen when there's only one pilot up there and they end up, having some kind of a physiological issue, So, yeah. So I guess, he ate the fish. So I thank you for indulging us on that. But when I saw this, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we need to definitely talk about this and the fact that, believe it or not, people are actually going, maybe it's not such a great idea. Let's put, so tip of the hat, the captain's hat to EASA for sure. All right. Just wanted to make sure we put that out there. And now I think would be a good time for us to do this. Getting to know us. Lots to talk about here. This is the segment that we find out what everybody has been up to on the panel and what they've been doing between shows. And let's see. I don't believe, Steph, were you? I don't think you were with us last time, were you? It's been a couple of weeks. I don't remember who was on.
I don't think so. I think I was actually.
Okay, you were.
Yeah,
okay.
I was. We didn't do a show last week, so I was here the last time.
Okay. Well, I don't think AJ was, right?
I was here.
He was.
I wasn't.
Nick was not.
last show.
Oh,
Captain
Nick wasn't
was
here.
not.
I was here last week too, but it was very lonely.
The process of elimination. Process of elimination here. Yeah, it was Nick.
Eventually, you're going to get one right.
Was I? Maybe I wasn't here. I don't know. That might be why I'm so confused. I'm never all here. Anyway, so who wants to cover their getting to know us segment first?
I think Nick should go.
I vote for Nick.
Nick. All right.
You've
Go,
been
Nick.
elected.
Well, I haven't got much to say, actually. Thank you very much. No, I'm never usually shy about talking about medical issues and pilots, but this particular medical issue I'm just going to save you from because no one likes things stuck up the black hole of Calcutta. And so I'm just going to say...
I wouldn't go that far. There are some people
I've never heard it
enjoy
called that before. I didn't know that was an approved medical
There's a
term.
website for everyone, Nick.
Yeah, we probably know some people that... Okay, go ahead.
Indeed. All I can say is that I've had some tests and the results are yet to be published, but I'm expecting to be fine, thank you. But the procedures are not what I would call pleasant. Anyway, that's taken up a considerable amount of my time and efforts. However, on the positive side, I'm still trying to enjoy my bowls and my pétanque.
Excuse me?
My bowls
what are you trying to enjoy?
And my pétanque.
Okay, the sport. Okay.
The APG was approached by someone who is looking for an expert. And since there were no experts on the show, I put my hand up saying I'd be more than happy to help out. So if you're a fan of the YouTube channel Vanity Fair called Expert Reviews, where people who are in the know in various things, whether it be, car driving or, engineering or whatever, when their particular area of expertise is portrayed in a movie, they're asked to give their expert review. And I might, if I'm selected, I might be able to do a few of those on aviation subjects. More to follow. That's about the only bit of good news.
They'd be crazy not to pick you.
Well, I did write them when I got approached, because the people who approached me, I've done some work for their magazine before. Not Vanity Fair. It seems to be hosted by, or the organisers
Condé Nast?
are from Condé Nast. And I've done some work with them in the past, and they perhaps thought of me. So that was great. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, my little red darling car, the Scarlet Lady, named after one of Virgin's aeroplanes, has been in to have her roof refurbished, and the guys and girls have done a brilliant job. It looks absolutely fantastic. Was not cheap, but at least I can now drive or leave the car in the rain with confidence, because previously a lot of the bodywork around where the hood hides filled up with water, which slowly leaked into the cab, into the driving area, and made all the carpets go wet and soggy. So what I'd say is that hopefully that won't be occurring again. Anyway, and I'll tell you what, it's rather nice company, very nice company, but a good hour and a bit on the train to get there. So I drove the car down there and caught the train back, and had a fun time on the British rail system. So when I say that, I mean, you never know where you're going to end up if you get on a train in the United Kingdom.
It's an adventure.
It is an adventure. And
I've got lost at least once.
Good for you. Excellent.
But it wasn't your fault, I'm sure.
No, I think Nick gave me instructions and I couldn't figure out how
it's Nick's fault.
Yeah, absolutely. I usually just try to say, I'll give you a website, go here. But no, that's all worked out fine.
Yeah, when you see a train and it stops, get in it and see where it takes you.
Exactly right. It's just that when they suddenly switch the platform and then change the arrival time all at the same moment, and you can't understand anything anyone's saying over the PA system.
Departing
That's
now.
Exactly right. It often gets a little bit hectic. Anyway,
you didn't have any accent, Steph.
You didn't need it because it's just you can't.
No exact accent.
Charlie Brown's parents.
Yeah, while I'm on, can I talk about the cover art?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, the last show I was missing, all I was done was given a few ideas, and one of which was a free cereal that was handed out to Steph after a run, and it was cereal called Poop Like a Champion. And I'm still not sure whether that was a joke or not, or whether that is actually real cereal, Steph.
I consumed the entire box. Actually, I have 2 boxes, so I've consumed one box. I have one more to go.
At one time?
And can you
There's not
confirm?
a lot of cereal in the box. Well, let's just say things are working as expected.
Okay,
isn't there like a dosage, recommended dosage or something?
It has a dosage for how much water you should drink with it per day.
A lot.
Oh my God.
Is it in gallons?
Yes.
Anyway, this obviously was something I just could not hesitate to attack, and I managed to find a cereal box that I could put on it. So what we've got here is a nice breakfast table with one of and Jeff, of course, is heavily into his new coffee machine, which I have to say is probably fantastic. I wish I could go over and try some of that coffee, because I bet it tastes delicious.
I'll fix you a cup.
But look, you already have fixed me a cup. Look, it's sitting on the table.
Oh,
and
look at that.
because you're the expert barista that you are, you've managed to do the APG logo on
I
the
have
top
performed
of the...
my latte art skills. Look at that.
There, look at that. The Acme logo
That
in
is
the middle
impressive.
of the coffee
Gold-rimmed
cup.
cup as well. That's fancy.
Yeah, I know. It's very swish, isn't
well,
it?
you know, only the
very
best.
Impressed, Jeff. Well, when you pay the amount that Jeff did for that coffee machine, gold rim cups are essential.
They come free with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably, yeah. A lifelong supply. Now, look, I managed to alter a little bit. Thanks very much indeed to the company that actually produced this, because I didn't have to alter very much. Let's start on the left with a little bit flag hanging down saying, with lots of beer, 8 glasses a day.
Ooh,
And
I
I'm
like that
going,
recommendation.
what is that all about? So obviously they want you to drink lots of beer with this cereal. I'd like to note that it contains 23 total grams of Jeff, but only 5 grams of the almighty soluble Steph. Which I'm not quite sure how Steph manages to get herself soluble enough to be in this, but I did love the bull-free recipe and the dust-free high-fiber podcast, which, if you read it up and down, goes bull dust-free high-fiber podcast. And the middle bit, of course, wow, 50% daily facts per saving. The bottom half of that packet, well, actually, we've got there was a news article we might cover, which was all about a hot air balloon blowing up. So
yeah, we're not covering it on this one.
We're not covering it on this one, which is very sensible, considering I've put a hot air balloon with a big boom on it.
Yeah.
However, there's Steph flying her twatter, and she's doing a bit of banner towing, and it reads ultra smooth poo, and there's a big brown pop, which probably should have read plop, but pop will do, coming out of the twatter. And of course there is a fantastic big sticker now on APG, because this is obviously a cereal we promote. If you're hunting for the show number, just look under the net weight, not the ounces but the grams. 667 grams per box. I think that was there before, so it was, we all know that this
didn't have to change anything.
Poo-inducing cereal
only
is
in
a
America.
Product of the USA. So
hey, we're here to help people. We're here to help.
I noticed something distinctly lacking.
What's that? Oh, the penguin.
Oh no,
no jackass
I forgot
penguin.
the penguin. No,
use your imagination.
That's
the end of an
Liz's
era.
fault. That penguin must have died doing this.
Well, we have to thank Nick, because he wasn't even on the show, but he still did the artwork for us. So thank you so much for that.
I still
That's
forgot
great.
the
No, I love it.
penguin.
That's
Damn.
okay.
Yeah, we had the penguin on the last one.
Yeah.
But mind you, the penguin was on a grave last time, so perhaps it's died.
Oh yeah, maybe that's no longer a feature.
Oh, he's coming back, is he? All right, okay. All right. Penguin's going to make a reappearance.
I think Liz likes the penguin more than anyone else on the crew.
I think you're right, yeah. Well, that's because the penguin is a jackass, and she has to deal with jackasses all the time.
And Liz is so used to people that fly, and when you have a bird that doesn't, she really likes them.
It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who would like to go next? Yeah, I could do that. Okay. I've been doing my normal singing stuff, and then, that's pretty much it. I've been, I did a road trip in the RVS down to, I think I mentioned that I was about to do that. Took my choir director and her husband down to Hialeah High School, but it was actually, we made it all the way down to Plantation, Florida. Had some issues with my air conditioning system, and had to stop at a Mercedes-Benz dealership on the way down. I think that was the highlight of the show. I mean, the trip for Jane and Chuck, believe it or not. They said, we've never been in a Mercedes-Benz dealership before. I went, Yeah, they pretty much look like every other waiting area, but with fancier stuff they have available to snack on and that kind of thing. But anyway, we got that issue sorted, and I came up with a procedure to keep the air conditioning cool and running because, South Georgia and Florida this time of year, it gets a little warm. But that was a great time spending with Jane and Chuck on the trip down to Florida and back. And let's see. So we do have an APG meetup audio that our main man Micah sent in, and I think that now might be a good time to play that audio. So let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, are you ready, Liz? Here we go.
So here I am in Portland, Maine, as I usually am, at the Millows Floating Restaurant. And who happens to be here with me, coming to the USA? None other than the great, famous Captain Al. Captain Al, welcome to Portland, Maine.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. I happen to be in Portland, Maine.
And I happen to be with you, which is fabulous. I don't think we've seen each other for since the Plain Talking UK 200th episode? I can't remember.
I think that's the last time, and I would like to guess how many years ago that was. So it's super good to be here with you today.
So, Al, I got to ask you some flying questions. You just had an incredible experience flying for Acme Pink, I believe we're calling it. Sometimes we call it Acme Yellow, but that's something else. But an incredible flying experience, getting that new airplane smell and a new airplane type. Tell me a little bit about your work with your airline in developing the product with the A321XLR.
Well, it was one of those sort of occasions that comes along, and it just kind of fell into my lap, really, to be perfectly honest. And it ended up as a situation where my boss's boss came to me and said, Al, you're the only person who can do this in the entire company. So I was like, okay, no pressure, no pressure. So I ended up being involved in the entry into service for the first Pratt & Whitney powered A321XLR, the first A321XLR to go to an ultra low cost carrier, and it was quite fraught with a lot of workload. However, when you get to that point where everybody is waiting for your nod of approval before they sign the $70 million check to buy the aeroplane, that you suddenly realize, I better not mess this up. And to go fly the aeroplane with the test pilots from Airbus, who were all asking me what I thought of the aeroplane, and I actually thought it would be the other way around and I'd be asking them, but they were very keen and enthusiastic to get my opinion. And when it all came together at the very end, because we had a few delays, and I think it's quite widely known about the Pratt & Whitney engine issues. However, when you're a pioneer, as I like to call us, in aviation, you have to take on board some of those early adopter risks. And we have done that, because the alternative is you wait for it to be a proven product and then you miss the boat, because then you're 10 years waiting for the item that you want, in our case the aeroplane. So really good fun, slightly nerve-wracking, and one of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences. That's the only way I can describe it, really.
I can't think of really a better person to have taken delivery and worked with Airbus on this, because you are probably the biggest Airbus advocate that I have ever met or spoken with, and I know you love the product in general. So can you, without going into anything that might be inappropriate, what was it like working with Airbus on a product that was definitely had some difficulties, not based on Airbus, but based on the geared turbofan from Pratt & Whitney?
Very interesting, because there are multiple dynamics, really. And one of the things that you see is on a day-to-day basis, everybody's working together, they're all friends, they've been together, known each other for years and years, and that was the same with our relationship. The other aspect then is that when things don't quite go to plan, is everybody then has to kind of retreat into their corporate shell. and it's very, very legally orientated as to where the lines of responsibility exist. So that was quite interesting to me, because I'm just a regular guy, and to suddenly find yourself in a boardroom with lots of people in very sharp suits looking at each other and going, well, we think this is an XYZ problem, and they go, well, we think it's an ABC problem. And of course it's a difficult dynamic, because Pratt & Whitney need Airbus, and Airbus need Pratt & Whitney, and both of them need customers. And it's a very small field, because when you look at the sort of medium-sized passenger transport aircraft, it really narrows down to two choices. If we rule out the Chinese product, which isn't going to really meet the regulatory requirements in the short term, we're Boeing 737 or Airbus A320 family. Without doing any mudslinging, we know the problems that Boeing have, and they really can't take that 737 any further. I think they've managed to squeeze every bit of juice out of that lemon, for want of putting it badly, but they can't take that aeroplane any further. Whether Airbus take the 320 family further or not, that's for them to decide. But where they've taken it is to a point where it's not just, let's see how many things we can bolt on. It's been an evolutionary process, and that's why I've been quite a big supporter of Airbus, because it's not just, well, we think we can make that, and well, we'll do this and we'll do that. And Boeing have really fallen into the trap of appeasing one customer at the expense of everyone else, and they have ended up with a product that doesn't work as everybody would want it to, whereas Airbus have managed to retain this sort of heritage through their narrow body, and then with all of the commonality between the narrow body and the wide body, it really is a very, very well-structured family of aircraft, and that's where I think they've been very, very smart. And I think that it's good to have competition, and everybody at Airbus will say that they wish Boeing well, because without competition you don't evolve, you don't come up with new products, and that's what the industry needs. However, Boeing have got a lot of work to catch up on the coattails of Airbus.
So you took delivery of the aircraft. You flew the first one off the line into for your airline, and you've been flying the A320, A321s for years and years and years. When you got into this new aircraft, and obviously you were trained on it, you're certified on it and all that, what did you notice as the big differences flying it?
Well, that's a really, really good question, because when the A321neo came out some years ago, on face value, everybody thought, okay, it's just a new engine, okay? But there was actually some behind-the-scenes development work that took place there, just little bits here and there, nothing entirely groundbreaking. With the XLR, there have been some slightly more development processes that have taken place, with the electronic rudder, for example, changing the flight control computers. And basically, they have made an aeroplane that's exactly the same size as a 321neo, but flies so much more smoother. It's such a nice aeroplane to fly. And I genuinely feel that what they've tried to do, because it's all ones and zeros, it's all data really, they've looked at how the A350 flies and gone, we want the same flight characteristics as the 350 and how it handles, as therefore that's what they've programmed it to do. So it just flies like a small A350. And from a passenger comfort point of view, I think it will be noticeable to passengers that it rides turbulence much better, and it will give you much more of a wide body feeling in a narrow body aircraft. That was the big surprise for me.
It sounds like you really like it.
I do, and everybody that has flown it so far loves it. Bearing in mind that, you know, it's not a glamour jet, it's an A to B aeroplane. You know, it's not a multi-gazillion pound corporate jet with solid gold taps and vintage champagne in the fridge. It's an A to B jet. But from a pilot point of view, it's such a nice environment for a narrow-bodied aeroplane, and it just goes to show that even for what is a relatively small upgrade for the aircraft, what the future holds, where Airbus want to take it for the short-haul to mid-haul market, there are options galore for them.
So will you be flying it regularly now, or will you be going back to the Neos and the older A320, 321?
Well, our oldest aircraft's 4 years old, so our first one is doing Gatwick to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. We take delivery of the next one at the tail end of next month, so that will do London Gatwick to Medina in Saudi Arabia. You don't have to be super smart to work out that there are some commercial advantages that come into play with operating to those routes. Where the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th operate to, we wait and see. But of course the great thing is that from a piloting point of view and from a cabin crew point of view, whether it's an XLR or a Neo, it's the same from a training point of view, from a being on board point of view. So if we need to substitute an XLR for a Neo, all right, it can't fly as far, but it doesn't make any great difference, and vice versa. So we fly the XLR on short haul in the morning and long haul in the evening. So it gives the airline a lot of versatility.
Well, Captain Al, thank you so much for the insights. I was really looking forward to finding out what you thought about it, but even more, I was looking forward to seeing you. Thanks for coming to visit. It's great to see you.
It's my absolute pleasure, and this has been a long overdue visit, so I'm glad that we could put it together this time.
Back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Well, thank you, main man Micah. You can tell that guy has some experience interviewing people. What a great interview. Thank you for that. And Captain Al, of course, we love you. And such an expert in the world of Airbus and the review on the 321 XLR. That's sounds like a really nice job.
He certainly seems very enthusiastic about it, and I don't blame him. Anyone who climbs into a brand new airplane, there's that wonderful, exciting feeling of newness about it. And
it's got new airplane smell.
Yeah, I don't know, and it sort of gets in your bloodstream. It's great.
I'm a little disappointed, though. They didn't tell us anything about their meal, what they had at the floating restaurant there. It must have been some good seafood there, D'Amelio's, I think it's called. Some ice cream Well, yeah, anytime a Captain Al's anywhere, you know that ice cream is not too far away. They
probably had chicken nuggets, didn't they?
Yeah, chicken nuggets and ice cream. That's his standard meal.
Yep.
That's that sweet and salty combination again, sweet and savory.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Starting to see a trend. All right.
For the record,
very good.
I'm not totally against the whole sweet and salty thing. French fries and a Frosty, perfect. Just haven't been sold on the chocolate frosting on saltines. That's just.
But I would think people would argue, and that's still sweet and salty right there. I used to do that when I was going to school at Auburn. All the time. Dip my French fries in the Frosty, the chocolate Frosty. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. When I was out in Cyprus on one of my Air Force detachments, we used to take big watermelons down to the beach and dip them in the ocean. So you get a slice of watermelon and dip it in the ocean, and the salt of the ocean and the sweetness of the watermelon is fantastic.
The algae adds a nice zing to it.
Absolutely. The jellyfish, all that. Very good.
Oh, okay. Micah says Captain Al had salted caramel gelato. I had toasted coconut gelato. Very nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Who's next in the getting to know us? It's either Steph or AJ.
I can make mine pretty. It's another race report for me. So there's a bunch of pictures, but so I didn't mention this on the last show because it seemed like I had already talked a lot about racing and doing different things, but I did another race this past weekend. This is the year of doing races in the state of Illinois, apparently. So this was the Ironman 70.3 in Rockford, Illinois. They have not held an Ironman event in the state of Illinois before. So this was their first year. And they this is a half Ironman distance. So half is 70.3 total miles, and full is 140.6, so half.
So easy.
So this was on June 22nd, whatever last Sunday was. And if you were in the United States, especially in the eastern half of the United States, like from the Mississippi over, they were talking about this heat dome thing. So Rockford was very much in the middle of that heat dome. I think our high temperature was 95 degrees and some sort of ridiculous humidity level that was actually elevated by something called corn sweat, which is like an evaporative process from corn crops that adds additional moisture to the local environment and makes it even more humid somehow. And we also had 30-mile-an-hour winds out of the south. So it was just like being in a nice hot oven, like air blasting at
Like
you. It was,
living in a hairdryer.
yeah, basically.
A convection oven.
It was quite hot. Even the swim was hot. So we've got a bunch of pictures here. Yeah, the swim ended up not being the way they do this for triathlons is you can wear a wetsuit in certain conditions. It's based on the water temperature. If the water temperature is over 76.1 degrees, then it's wetsuit optional because it confers an advantage. If you're not a strong swimmer, they want you to stay safe and be able to have that option to wear the wetsuit up until
Is that like those
80.
beaches? Those optional beaches? Different?
Yeah, you know. The guy next to me in the picture there has gone for some optional attire.
You'd think that somebody that does that kind of race would, I don't know, be a little bit more
So
svelte.
here's the thing about endurance racing.
Yeah.
You can't tell who the good athletes are based on body type, habitus, what looks like they're like. He's probably a powerhouse on the bike. He probably beat me by an hour. I bet you. And we came out of the water at the same time. I don't know when he started. But it was a warm swim. The water was 79.2 was the official measurement. I think it felt like it was over 80. It was pretty warm. So
Steph, why is he wearing his watch on his ankle?
So the way triathlon works, in order to get your time splits, you have to have some sort of tracker that will track you through all three disciplines: swim, bike, and run. So you wear a timing chip around your ankle. And it stays on for the whole race. So I have one on mine too, if you look on the, and it goes on your left ankle so that when you're riding the bike, it doesn't get caught up on your chain, which is on the right side. At least that's where it's supposed to go. So here was heading out on the bike. Looking
That was
good,
me
some
trying to be
smiles.
clever.
No, there's
No,
an
that's a
explanation
valid
for it.
question. Yeah, that's a valid question.
Great,
Someone else is probably also wondering.
Your comedy failed, Nick.
Yeah, I know, I'm useless.
Where's that trombone? We need the trombone.
So the swim was 1.2 miles. It was downriver in the Rock River. And then you head out on the bicycle for 56 miles. And we went, the first half felt like mostly downhill with a tailwind. And the second half was back uphill with a headwind, which was not very fun. But survived and did much better at the bike this go around than I did with my previous attempt at an Ironman triathlon where I barely made the bike cut off. And the run was just really hot. Actually, they did such a fantastic job. Like, I'm going to give a shout out here to the volunteers, the race coordinators, and the community in Rockford. It's not a huge town. They had 1,500 volunteers for this event.
Wow.
The one neighborhood that we ran through, everybody was out there with their sprinklers and their hoses, just trying to make sure everyone stayed cool. Kind of hate to see their water bills from that day because I think they had their hoses on all day long.
You sure they weren't just trying to keep you off their grass?
They might have been. Get off my lawn,
Get off
kids.
my lawn.
And then, the ice was like never ending. Like it just kept replenishing at the aid stations. They have an aid station every mile, and they all had big kiddie pools with, filled with ice, and you could dunk your hat in there, your cooling towel. You could put ice in all parts of your kit that you wanted to. Wow. So yeah, they really did a good job of keeping us comfortable. So I thought I was trained for a 6-hour race. I threw those time goals out the window with the conditions and still managed a 6:35. So quite happy with that. Yeah.
Yay.
Very, very happy. So that's coming
awesome.
across the
Yeah,
finish
good
line there,
job,
downtown
Steph.
Rockford. But yeah, I was just super impressed with the race organization. I did the race with my youngest brother, who's standing there with me, and then one of my best friends. Her name's Lisa. And that's
Who are those people standing behind you? They're very
those
big
are the
people.
Rock Guardians, I believe they're called.
Oh.
Right along the Rock
Okay.
River, right by the swim start. So that was before we headed out for the day, before we got ourselves into the hot, humid, windy mess. But It was fun. I had a good time. Would do it again.
Nice. Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
My hat's like all disheveled because there's ice shoved up and under. And I'm super tan right now because it was just hot all weekend. You know, we were outside for multiple days in a row. Had to go the first day to get bike tune-ups. Second day, you have to go and check your bike in and leave it there and get everything set up. And then the third day, you're out there all day. Came back to work this weekend and was like, ooh, where did you go? I was like, Illinois. You jealous?
Looked like some kind of a tropical island.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I
Illinois,
thought I went on like some beach
Northern
vacation.
Illinois.
It's like, yeah, Northern Illinois, kind of near Wisconsin. I don't know.
That's where all the cool
known
people
for
go.
the sun and the, the vibes. But yeah, it was fun. There is one more quickly upcoming race. It is next weekend, or actually Friday, July 4th, here in the United States. We have a little holiday. And I'll be in Atlanta for the Peachtree Road race again.
Oh, nice.
Yep, it is that.
Yeah, you're going to be riding a bike, and then you can do this. The little bell, the bike bell. Get people out of the way.
I think they want you to run this one. This is a
Oh,
little race.
okay. Yeah,
I will
Peachtree
gladly
Road.
stand on the sidelines with beer.
Perfect.
There
There's
you
a
go.
lot of that happens at this upcoming race.
Nice.
It's a party. So looking forward to it. Thanks.
Yep. All right, AJ. Last but not least.
So last week, not a whole lot going on. Last weekend, got to have a good bit of fun. In the way that these things happen in aviation, I was over at another friend of mine's hangar. He was out of town and he needed a specific part for his airplane. Between me and my dad, we managed to source that part, and I was dropping it off at his hangar. And the guy next door had an old Porsche 944, which I used to be really into Porsche 944s. And so went over, talked to him about it. And he said, oh, you want to see my airplane? And he has a 1956 Piper Apache, which is a cool old twin. And so we started talking about that. And I said, oh, yeah, got to talking. I said, oh, yeah, I got my multi over and across the street, did it with a Diamond and this, and he's like, oh, you're a multi-pilot? Oh, I need a safety pilot. I'm like, cool. So we ended up getting to go fly on Sunday morning, bright and early before it got too hot, and had some fun with it. And so hopefully be doing some more flying with him. That's David there in the picture being shown on the YouTube. And then that afternoon, as soon as I got done flying with David, got done about 9:30 in the morning, jumped in the car and took my oldest daughter down to back down South Georgia, and we flew gliders, and she soloed again and had a good time. I had a good experience. That's in the picture. There's me towing the glider with the golf cart and her walking the wing, and it's only 94 degrees outside and nice and cool hot black asphalt. It melts your shoes. It's always fun. But she's learning if you want to play with the toys, you have to take care of the toys, which means bringing them back and walking them back. So she's learning some good life lessons. But it was a really good day. A lot of fun. And then not much else this week until this morning. Got to go up with a guy that I met. He messaged me over Discord. He's a member of the Midlife Pilot podcast community, and I know some of those guys and I've been on there before. And he sent me a message and wanted to go fly, and he's never been in an airplane before. I said, tell me what experience you have, and he said, I've got 15 hours of Flight Simulator 2024. Or 2020. I was like, perfect. So we got to go fly one of our little 172s and just took him up for a nice little flight again this morning before it got too hot. And one of the kind of funny things was he I said, yeah, we'll try to go in the morning before it gets, bakingly hot. He's like, oh man, you're going to rob me of the experience of what everybody talks about flying in the South in the summer and how hot it is. I'm like, yes, I am.
Yes,
absolutely am.
Remind him the thunderstorms happen in the afternoon too.
Yeah.
So that's
it was
flying in the morning.
Yeah, no sense of adventure. It's
As I'm
fine.
listening to the thunder outside my house now too.
Oh, I started having some thunder there right after Jeff did. I think that same storm. Did you notice on the radar, Jeff, that the storms are going the wrong way? Normally they come from me and go to you. They're actually going kind of from you and coming to me.
They're moving kind of west or east to
Steph
west.
is sending all that crappy weather over here. Let's see.
The world's spinning backwards.
shoot, I just took it off the thing. Let's see. Let me go ahead and show you the current actual live radar. It's very colorful here.
Right where all those flashes are on the right side there.
Let's see.
That's kind of Jeff.
Yeah, let's see. Where am I? I'm like, here's Roswell. It was. Yep. It's further away from me now, and AJ is a little bit further.
Right where
to
you
the
have
west.
the cursor, just a little bit north of that is right where I'm at. Right about there.
Okay, so you're on the very edges of it too. It's mostly to the north of us. Yeah. So you said it's.
I got a whole bunch of thunder, but I looked outside and there's very little moisture on the ground.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Technology is so cool, huh? All right.
Science.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Pretty much it.
Thank you, AJ. Great to see you again and have you with us. All right. Coffee fund. You know what? We can skip it. We can save some time because we don't have any contributors to report. So if you're interested in becoming part of our coffee bar club and support us financially, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And I think now would be a good time for us to hit a little bit of feedback before we're getting close to the end of our 2 hour. We're trying to keep it down to 2 hours lately. So, we'll do a few pieces of feedback. So let me hit the feedback bumper and here we go.
Captain, incoming message.
Okay. Let's see. Anything in particular we should do? And is there timely feedback? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And maybe end with 23.
Wasn't that the units from Star Wars Episode 4? Units 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8?
3, 5, 7.
What?
Yeah, something like that.
Are you sure?
I think so, actually.
That's pretty bizarre.
It's rather. I know it's esoteric knowledge.
Trivia.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love it. That's what we're all about.
How
here.
did you remember that?
He still has his brain cells, Nick. We can't really.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, they're misallocated. So they still exist.
I like misallocated. That's a good way to describe what happens.
Misallocated. Yeah, that's what's going on in my head. All right, let's start off the feedback segment with this from Tim Q. Tim, I think we lost your feedback for a short period of time. Not lost. It was misplaced. Or I did. Maybe it was my fault. Probably. I'm sure. I'll take credit for it. Anyway, it has to do with AirVenture, which is coming up next month. Yeah. And that means I need to take a look at the camping situation. Well, anyway, he says, hope all the crew's doing well. First, if anyone's going to make it to AirVenture this year, I'll be in the Federal Building flying the Wright Flyer all day, Thursday, Friday, half day, Saturday. So swing by and say hi if you have time. Yeah, I know. He's going to correct that in a minute. This is when he first sent this feedback to me. From episode 660 on the Honda jet crash that crashed in Oregon. In the TV news report, it says that just before landing, the pilot reported a problem with his brakes, the airport spokesperson explained. This may end up being kind of a foolish question since I know so little about flying, but is there some way to tell if you have a problem with brakes while you're in the air? In my head, I'm thinking there isn't, but now I'm curious. If not, would that mean that he took off already knowing that he had brake issues? Doesn't seem like the best idea if that's the case. Just curious about the crew's opinion on it. Well, I think on the Honda jet, Tim, there's a big, like your car, and you come up with like a little warning and it says potential brake problem. No, I don't know what happened here. Do you guys know? Was that just
Are they hydraulically activated?
Aviation journalists like coming up with some kind of weird, strange idea about what happened?
Are they hydraulically activated? Because if you have a hydraulic system issue.
I don't know.
I think the Honda jet actually has. There are hydraulic brakes, but they're not boosted. They're just like the brakes we have on a Caravan or a Malibu or anything else. So
they're manually actuated, and they're just the hydraulic. You're making the pressure on the hydraulic.
Correct. And like in the Malibu or anything else that has retractable gear, especially, part of the check, part of your steps is you put the gear down and you test the brakes. And all that means is you push on the pedals and make sure that they don't just go to the floor.
Back pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
so that
sense.
would be how he would know that there was an issue if he just hit the pedal and it just went. You go, oh, cool, no brakes.
Now, clearly, if that was the case before they took off, they would not have taken off. So,
never say never, but yeah, hopefully.
Well, probably if they had good airmanship, they wouldn't have. Probably.
There's
thinking,
that.
oh, this will be fine. We'll take off. It'll fix itself in flight. Yeah, that's probably what they were thinking.
Possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? All right, so there you go. There's our crew opinion on it, Tim. And he says, an update. Due to some of the funding for federal organizations currently and the new curator of the EAA Museum deciding to get rid of the Wright Brothers simulator, my opportunities for this year disappeared. I'll still be at AirVenture taking photos, so looking forward to seeing any of the crew or a meetup. And Tim, I'm hoping that my other crew members that will be attending Oshkosh, we're not sure exactly when each of us is going to be there. I'll probably be the one that's there the longest. I'll try to be the best that I can with putting out location alerts and that kind of thing, and potential meetups and that sort of thing. But right now it's all up in the air.
Since Liz has just reminded us that it's 3 weeks away, I really need to look at my travel plans for that. But I believe I have Wednesday and Thursday off to go up to Oshkosh.
Okay.
Now, I won't be there, but I'm just going to ask a question here. Is the Wright Brothers simulator a couple of old blokes walking around in flat caps and tweed jackets and things?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Exactly.
Pretending to be the Wright Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that would cost a lot of money. It wouldn't be a budget issue at all.
Well, the costumes themselves are, they're bespoke costumes, and it's
okay.
Tailored, all that stuff.
Yeah, it adds up. It
I'm
really
just
does.
wondering how expensive it is to dress up like two bicycle manufacturers, but there you go.
Yeah, that's what you get for thinking, Captain Nick.
there's copyrights that you get, fees.
Yeah. All right.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to our 2-hour mark. Let's hurry up and do some
silliness.
more. Okay, 5. Okay. Oh, Greg, okay, let's see. Hey, crew, attached some audio regarding my first flight on a wide-body airliner and wondering if Captain Jeff might have been part of that experience. Keep up the great
He's
work.
never been on a wide body in his life, so.
We're
let's
talking
not go that
airplanes, right? We're talking airplanes, right? Okay. Yes, the L-1011 I have flown.
Ah, that's true.
Hey, crew. Craig Peterson here, your formerly big-ass fan. Hope everyone's doing well. It's been a little while since I've sent any feedback, and even longer since I've sent any audio feedback. A few episodes ago, while talking about the engine fire on the Delta A330 from Orlando to Atlanta, Captain Jeff mentioned that Delta used to fly an L-1011 from Atlanta to Orlando. That got me thinking and reminded me of my first flight on a wide-body airliner. The date was May 22nd, 1994, the day after my wife and I got married. We were on our way to our honeymoon at Disney World and flew on one of the L-1011s from Atlanta to Orlando. So now, let's step into the APG Wayback Machine, pull out Captain Jeff's DAL Form 414, and see if there was any chance that he was part of the crew on my very first flight on a wide-body airliner. I look forward to hearing what you're able to dig up. Keep up the great work. Good day.
Okay. I love that sound effect, Greg. That was nice, that Wayback Machine sound. Yeah. So here, let me look at my logbook. This is not my logbook. I'm pretending, though. I'm going through the motions here. 1994. No, I didn't.
Flip the pages for the microphone.
So I ended up getting... Yeah. Oh, thank you. Pages after page after page of,
it's a big log
of hours logged.
Giant logbook.
Giant. Shut up. Hey, I've logged almost 24,000 hours.
That's a lot of pages.
That's a lot of pages, but most of it are not on actual paper pages. They're like electronic
bar napkins
somewhere.
and
Bar napkins.
Anyway, just trust me. You'll just have to trust me on that. So on this, the L-1011, the successful L-1011 bid award was in the advanced entitlement of 1996, the mother of all what do they call them? Advanced entitlements awards. Yeah, so I didn't even start training, I think, until sometime in 1996, 97. I think it was on 97 through 99, 97, yeah, 97 through 99. So, no, I was a co-pilot on the 727 at the time of your honeymoon. So, sorry, nope, wasn't me. There we go. Yeah, nice try, Greg.
Good,
that would have
good
been
job
fun,
with
though.
the bad news, letting him down easy, though. That was gentle.
Thank you. All right. 6. This is from John Gallagher, Fighter Pilot Mischief. Hi, Jeff, Steph, Nick, Liz. Hope you're all doing well. I have and AJ. I have a military aviation question, so this is really aimed at Nick and Jeff. It was something that kind of amused and intrigued me while reading a great book, F-4 Phantom, A Pilot Story by Robert Prest. Robert tells stories from his time as an RAF fighter pilot. I'm sure Nick must be familiar with the book. It's a great read. Are you familiar with that book, Captain?
Indeed. About a month ago, I had the book on my desk here because I was going to hold it up to the camera and go, this is my copy. Because Bob Prest was on my squadron. He left just before I arrived. But I met him several times in my career, and it was a great fun book to read. A real sort of fighter pilot book. It was perfect.
Nice. One story the author tells is while flying in a flight of 3 Phantoms on a training mission, they were bounced unexpectedly by a pair of buccaneers. That is, the buccaneers performed a simulated attack on them while they themselves were practicing tactical formations, with 2 of the pilots being students. Is it the case that anyone is fair game while they're out on a training mission? Are pilots always on the lookout for having a go at another flight, presumably once they've finished their mission objectives and are on the way home? Are there unwritten or maybe even unwritten rules of engagement that exist for these scenarios? Although Robert tells this story about the RAF, is this the case also in the U.S. Air Force? I'd be interested to hear your experiences of this and hear some insights into how this actually works. Many thanks for the great podcast. Stay safe, all. Kind regards, John. Okay, Nick, what say you? Is this normal?
Bouncing was absolutely part of our, raison d'etre as fighter pilots in the Air Force. As soon as you climbed into a camouflaged airplane, you were fair game for any other similarly equipped pilot in the Air Force. So you had to have your eyes out on stalks. Not only were you looking out for the aircraft involved in your mission, if there was some stray fighter or even a bomber like a Buccaneer floating around, they would like nothing more than to get a bit of gun camera film of you and bounce you. So everybody did it to everybody, and it was a fantastic way for guys to sort of simulate being in a hostile environment all the time whilst trying to conduct their normal mission. I mean, normally you got bounced on when you weren't being controlled by a radar control unit. So when you were out of that environment, it was very easy to bounce people because there was no one to warn you that someone was sneaking up on you. So we used to, if you had a spare half an hour, we used to go and hover over another base like Lossiemouth, which is full of Jaguars. And as soon as we saw someone get airborne, as he was tucking his gear up into his wings, we would drop out of the sky and bounce him. And, you'd close up and close up and close up until eventually he spotted you and there'd be a huge kerfuffle. You could see the aircraft wobble around as he suddenly realized there was someone in his shorts. And, he'd have to go, oh, okay. Usually he'd waggle you off at that point. So a wing waggle was the accepted, okay, I acknowledge you just killed me. Mm-hmm. Or if you were engaged on an important mission and you just didn't want to mess about, as soon as you saw him, you'd just start waggling, going, go away, leave me alone, I'm doing something else and I can't be bothered with you today. But we used to go to great lengths to hide ourselves in places that people wouldn't expect and bounce our friends on our own squadron, definitely all the fighters on the opposing squadrons on our base. In fact, anyone that we could find that was in a green and grey jet, we would just, go and marmalize them as much as we could. As the safety world sort of progressed, slowly this became more and more formalized. But it was still permitted, although there were rules around how it occurred, but that was boring. But in the early days of my Air Force career, it was an absolute free-for-all. It was great.
Not officially sanctioned back in those days.
It was an accepted part of your sort of training that it would happen. So no one ever complained, and no one ever said, "Oh no, this is getting dangerous. We'll stop doing this." No.
Well, I didn't fly any. I didn't fly fighters. I did fly trainers, but also the C-141 Starlifter military transport. And honestly, the only bounces that you'd see on that would be the hard landings, and maybe doing your laundry. The little anti-static sheets that you put in there to make it all nice, smell nice.
Oh, very good.
Anti-static free. Yeah, no, none of that. I have no idea. I am not aware of what happened in the fighter community at all. No, so I don't know. Can't tell you. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe somebody out there listening in our audience knows from the U.S. Air Force, and we can pass that on to everybody else. All right. Yeah. Okay, we're going to hurry through all these. Paul, number 7, says, "Dear Nick, I just wanted to write to say hello and to say how much I'm enjoying your Plain Tales and contributions on APG. I'm rather late to the party, but the upside is that I have a vast back catalog of Plain Tales to listen to, which I must say I am devouring at a rate of knots. The breadth of topics you cover is fascinating and intriguing, and I rarely listen to one without learning something new. Thank you for that. Please don't stop making them. As a fellow Brit, your dry English wit does make me chuckle, particularly on APG, when it bemuses our friends from across the pond." Bemuse is a word that you could use. I wouldn't have chosen.
This totally should have been read by Captain Nick.
Well, it would have taken 4 times as long if I'd let him do it. We're in hurry mode. I've been afflicted by the aviation bug for as long as I can remember, and was lucky enough to gain my PPL in the early 90s, flying out of Southampton back when light aircraft were welcome there. I tried to get into the University Air Squadron while at Southampton, but also my legs were too short by millimeters, so was rejected. I really should have become an airline pilot but my life took a different path for me, and that is one of my biggest regrets. Still, I get my flying kicks now from Microsoft Flight Simulator, which provides the opportunity to learn how to operate many aircraft with a huge degree of realism. I'm particularly enjoying getting to grips with the A320 at the moment. Bear with me. Back in 2011, I was reading Spitfire Pilot, the wartime diary of World War II RAF fighter pilot squadron leader Brian Lane. An incredible man and an amazing story. Pretty much the only contemporaneous account of the flying war by a serving fighter pilot, I believe. Sadly, he was lost in 1942, missing in action over the North Sea. Early on in the book, I read that Brian was from Pinner. Is that right? Pinner or Piner? Pinner,
Pinner, I would say,
Pinner.
But I'm not absolutely certain.
Well, that's a leafy suburb in northwest London. If you're ever up that way, you can check it out. This is where I grew up too and still live. So if you ever are up there in Pinner, make sure you say hi to Paul Baderman. Okay, back to where he was. Okay. I thought I simply had to do something to honor Brian, and long story short, I organized a blue plaque to be placed on the house where he grew up. I managed to organize a superb day, attended by hundreds of locals and a few dignitaries. We were lucky enough to have Flight Lieutenant Ken Wilkinson with us, sadly no longer, who flew with Brian, and it was Ken who unveiled the plaque. The then current squadron leader of 19 Squadron, Brian Squadron, was in attendance too and brought the squadron standard along for good measure. I'd even managed to book the BBMF, what is that?
Battle of Britain Memorial Flight.
Oh, okay.
Lancasters and Spitfires, Hurricanes, that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, he got that. He booked them to fly over in a Hurricane and Spitfire. Would you say Hurricane or Hurricane?
Hurricane.
Hurricane. Oh, I did it right the first time. Wow.
Yeah.
I got lucky. But sadly, it was I hope you're bemused. But sadly, it was too windy on the day, and the sortie was scrubbed. There's quite a bit on Google, for example, and then he gives us a link to something there about the blue plaque that he organized for
Blue
Lieutenant
plaques
Ken.
are pretty famous in the UK on the buildings where famous people have resided, perhaps born, lived, worked, or whatever.
Oh, cool. Okay. Some lovely things flowed from this day. I was invited to a dining event at RAF Valley and had the great pleasure. Oh, a dining in. That's a fancy military. Everybody gets dressed up in basically tuxedos, military tuxedos, right?
Yeah, best bib and
we've heard
tobacco.
some of Captain Nick's stories about those. They're very amusing. And he said,
amusing or bemusing?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. He said he was invited to a dining in at RAF Valley and had the great pleasure of sharing a drink with Ken Wilkinson at the officers' mess bar. Something I'll never forget. Wow, that's cool. This all leads on to the real reason for this email. In attendance on the day when the plaque was unveiled were many past members of 19th Squadron, many of whom flew Phantoms, Tornadoes, and Lightnings, although possibly in other squadrons. One of the chaps who I remember was very kind and welcoming to me, given that I'm not in the RAF family, was Andy Kirk, always smiling and enthusiastic with plenty of tales to tell. Fast forward nearly 15 years, and I'm listening to one of your plain tales. You discuss how a certain Andy Kirk happened to be with you on your first ever and last ever flight in a Phantom. Well, I thought, what a small world. That has to be the same Andy Kirk, surely. It's funny how life goes in circles and loops, sometimes connecting, sometimes not. I've really enjoyed this one connecting. Anyway, thank you again for your time and effort with the Plain Tales. I just love listening to them, and you on APG too. What about the rest of us? Anyway, I'll try and come along to one of your talks one day. It would be great to meet you. All the best. Paul Baderman in Pinner, UK. And then Captain Nick, I guess you got back with Paul?
Absolutely, and I just said I couldn't believe that he'd brought up the name of Andy Kirk because I remember Andy enormously well because we served together on 43 Squadron, and I was just off to attend the annual 43 Squadron Association dinner in the RAF Club, and I hoped Andy would be there, but sadly he wasn't. No, we brought back great memories. My first flight in a Phantom without another pilot, because you did some dual flights with a pilot in the back seat with his stick, and then for your first sort of pretend solo, you went off with a staff navigator. And although he had a stick, he wasn't a pilot, so it was up to you to do all the polling, and my allocated man was Andy. And then he was quite right. My very last flight on a Phantom before I moved over to Australia was doing a 2v2 combat mission with Andy, who was working back up to flying status, having had a ground tour. And it was just wonderful to see him again. And I did meet him quite recently at a funeral of a friend. And he's just the same lovely, happy-go-lucky, gentle, kind man that I remember from my days on 43 Squadron. Just a wonderful person. I think it's great that you had a chance to meet him as well. Well done.
Very good. So potential show title, Sticks and
Several.
Soft Navigators.
Don't forget polling.
Polling, yeah.
Polling.
Polling. Sticks
See,
and
Captain Nick
polling,
doesn't even
honestly.
realize he said all this.
We were so bemused. I just want you to know we were all sitting here
I'm
going,
still bemused. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with those words.
Backseat sticks and polling.
Backseat sticks and soft navigators and polling. Yeah.
Right.
Is Peter still with us in our live audience? And if he is, he deserves an award, I think. Hey, Peter. He sent us some feedback. Anything else to wrap that up, or are we good? With
one little quick comment. That picture that I'm assuming will be in the show notes, but also that Liz showed. I read down a little bit farther with Nick's exchange back and forth with Paul. In that picture, Brian Lane is 24 years old. And he does not look like he is 24.
He looks...
Well, no.
It actually
looks like he's been to hell and back, doesn't he?
And he has. It reminds me, and this is, I don't want to make light of something that's so, inspiring or serious, but there's an old picture, an old joke that runs around in the racing world. And it says, I've wanted to be a racing mechanic all my life. And it shows a picture of this guy that has to be in his late 70s. And it says, Josh, 24.
It really accelerates the aging process, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay. So Peter Tarantelli sent us this, staying on the RAF and Phantom, what's the term? Kick or theme. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Theme. Okay. Thought Captain Nick might.
Theme.
Yes, we are the bemusing theme. Thought Captain Nick might enjoy this. I think he flew Phantoms at one time, right? I guess fly. Yeah, I guess so.
It's a strong word.
Yeah, strong word.
Yeah. Hung on is hung on.
Was your navigator soft when you were flying the?
He
Phantom?
was fine.
Okay.
They were hard as nuts.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Anyway, on this day in history, May 27th, 1958, a legend was born. Yeah, we got feedback from May 27th, before I was born.
I'm impressed we got an email from 1958. That's pretty cool.
And obviously, Peter is older than I am because, he's sending us. Oh, okay. May 27th, 1958, a legend was born. The Double Ugly, Lead Sled, Flying Anvil, St. Louis Slugger, Flying Brick, Snoopy, Rhino, Snoopy, Rhino, Old Smoky, the triumph of thrust over aerodynamics, and world's leading distributor of MiG parts. That's a good one. More simply known as the Phantom. Made its maiden flight on 27 May 1958 with Robert C. Little at the controls. There were proposals to name the F-4H Satan and Mithras, the Persian god of light. In the end, the aircraft was given the less controversial name Phantom II, which I think most of the pilots really appreciated. we got the personal opinion from one of those Phantom pilots right here on the show. Very nice. Soon afterwards, the Double Ugly squared off against the XF-8U-3 Crusader III, and on 17 December 1958, that's only, 9 days before I was born, the F-4H was declared a winner. And during her service, the Phantom served many countries, including Australia, Egypt, Germany, the United Kingdom, Greece, Iran, Israel, Japan, Spain, South Korea, and Turkey, and is the only aircraft to have flown the colors of both the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds as well as the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. And we have some nice pictures here of that beautiful airplane. And thank you, Peter. What do you want to say about that airplane? I know it's one of your favorites, not your top favorite, but it's pretty high up there on the list, I think, Captain Nick.
Oh, I think being my first operational airplane, it really holds a special place in my heart. I always loved reading about the early record-breaking flights because that doesn't look much, certainly the front end doesn't look much like a later Phantom, because they kind of smoothed it down a bit. The navigator's cockpit barely exists, but they did some remarkable record breaking on those aircraft. Top Flight went up for an altitude record, but the one that I always was impressed with was Sage Burner, because that was a low altitude, high speed circuit, and it was really designed for aircraft, biplanes by the in the French International Fédération Aéronautique to get a speed record. And here they were doing it in a Mach 2 capable fighter, and they had to fly at some ridiculously low altitude. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me because I wasn't really prepped for this, but it was somewhere in the region of 200 to 300 feet. They had to fly like 100 or a 50K circuit, and they did it so fast. It was just unbelievable. In fact, the first attempt during the flight, the stability augmentation system failed, and the aircraft porpoised into the ground, and they immediately, some incredibly brave pilot climbed into the next aeroplane and flew the mission again. And this time they achieved it. But Sage Burner was brilliant. This particular one that we got to hear is high flight, got up to 90,000 feet. And he had to flame out his engines. I think they would have flamed out anyway. And he fell like a stone until he was down into air thick enough to relight them and make a successful landing. But those guys were absolute lunatics, the things they did with the Phantom in those days. But it was a rocket ship, and reading about those flights just inspired me so much to want to fly it. It was brilliant.
Hi, Hallbox. This is a quick question. How was the outside visibility from that jet, or was the captain see little, not a word joke?
No, it was not bad at all. It was about the same as a damn tornado who, built, 30, 40 years later, because they had about as much ironwork around the canopy as that. For the backseater, it wasn't nearly as good, but, they did a fantastic job, because anything that swung the wing line, the drop behind our wing line into our rear quarter, we would usually let the navigator padlock that and keep his eyeballs on it and guide us, because it was so hard to see into that rear quadrant. God, I remember climbing into the F-18 for the first time, and I just turned my head around. I could see between the fins. I didn't even have to try. I was going, good Lord, what a fantastic concept. Being, flying in an aircraft where you can see behind you. That's unbelievable. But in the Phantom, the navigator, and we developed this incredibly well orchestrated commentary system between the front and the back seaters, so we could the back seater could guide my eyes onto an aircraft, or I could let him know that I was losing sight of something that went behind. It was all part of your natural sort of rhythm of being a crew together on the aircraft. It was brilliant.
I have to say, before we move on to our last piece of feedback and wrap up the show, what a treasure that man is right there, that Captain Nick Anderson. He didn't prepare at all any of that stuff that he just said. It was all off the top of the head and his memory and his experiences. And honestly, and when I say treasure, I don't mean like old buried treasure, like it's all rusty and everything else. Don't take it that way. It's just like, man, I just always am amazed at how you can just off the cuff, just spew out all that amazing aviation information and experience. Yeah, spew. I did use the word spew.
Blushing now,
yeah.
Jeff.
No,
Thank
really,
you.
I really appreciate you, man.
Look,
and
Jeff, you turned his shirt pink.
Second.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to spew that on you. My bad.
Just hear a second Jeff's comments. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just listening to all this going like, wow, like looks like you're reading it and you've done a couple weeks worth of research on those Phantoms. Okay. Phantom 2s, or what I like to call the, what was the one that was kind of cute about the MiG parts?
The world's largest distributor of MiG parts.
MiG parts.
Yeah, very true. I have to point out that we didn't really have many nicknames for it. These were all American. We kind of we just called it the Phantom.
F4.
We're very boring.
I don't know.
I'd
were you
heard them
amused?
all before. I'd heard them all,
I
but
guess not.
it's not something that we. They're a little bit American for us.
Well, speaking of something that we've heard before, earlier in the show, you were telling us, Nick, about your artwork, your amazing artwork for the last show, Poop Like a Podcast Pilot. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? And
Love
in the
it.
seat.
So catchy.
The alliteration.
Yeah. Alliteration is beautiful. Anyway, but we did note, sadly, that there wasn't a jackass penguin in the cover art.
I know.
That had one of our listeners very, very, I don't know if she really knew that at the time that she wrote in, but Olivia wrote in, Olivia Seville. She's giving us a jackass penguin status report. What? Did I do something wrong, Liz? Oh, Savile. Okay. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Wasn't the barber from Seville?
I thought so too, but maybe that's Seville. Anyway, Olivia S. So hello, APG crew. I drove through Simonstown, or would it be Simonstown, Liz?
Simons.
Specifically Boulders. I'm just pimping her. Specifically Boulders Beach, and the jackass penguins would like to know if everything's okay. I see it. They were concerned. They were all waiting in anticipation for APG 668. Just thought I'd pass on the message from the penguins, as I'm not sure of any other Saffers, South Africans, that listen to APG. Oh, I'm sure we have at least one more. I might be the closest to Simonstown. Keep well, team, from a wet, cold Cape Town. God bless. And again, that's Olivia. She ends with saying, positive rate of climb. Olivia Saville, something like that. Olivia, write in. Let us know. Send us some audio feedback. We'd love to hear your accent. I bet it's awesome. All right.
And that is great to know that you've been down there to check up on the penguins, because we used to be a regular for us when we flew at Cape Town. If we had a couple of nights, we'd inevitably end up renting a van and going down the Cape and driving around to see the penguins. It was, really nice thing to do. And they're so sweet, those tiny little penguins, and they're all sitting there in this one little bay, and anyone could just walk down there and say hello to them. Brilliant.
Well, I look forward to doing that someday. That'll be fun. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. And we always point you to our website, airlinepilotguy.com. Just check it out. I'm not going to tell you all about it. You have to find out on your own. So do that. And we're also we're doing a quick wrap up, as you can see. We're going to talk about social media, what I like to call the social meds, and Dr. Steph. Okay, it's on the screen.
It's on the
there
screen. We'll make my job easy today. Hopefully,
and in the show notes.
If you're reading
Same
this
as
on your
last
audio
week.
podcast, I'll just say Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Airline Pilot Guy, or APG Crew will find you or help you find the right place.
Yeah. And we're also on Slack. I can play the Slack thing. Just trust me. Hillel's always in the shower.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK. Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks, Hillel. Appreciate that. And we'd also like to thank Liz, our producer. Thank you so much for the work you do.
Well done, Liz. Good job.
And our wonderful live audience here. They're always very entertaining and informative and such. So thank you for showing up. We really do depend upon you, and we depend upon you, listener, to keep downloading our show and telling others about it. Unless you don't like it, then actually, well, anyway, I'm not going to say that because that would highlight this person, and I don't want to do that. Let's see. So I guess that is going to be it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you, or hope that you hear us again in your ears next week on the next episode of Airline Pilot Guy. And with that, we're going to wish you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
Ta-ta for now.
See ya.
See you next time. What
What
was
is
that?
that?
The fire truck wanted. The fire truck wanted to get in.
He said bye too.
Timing.
That was funny.
Loved it.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Well, that was a quick wrap up. I love
Yeah,
it.
well
Should
done,
do that
you
more
guys.
often.
Let's do that every
Efficient.
week.
Okay. I think we should.
I really didn't get many titles. I hope maybe somebody in the chat room. Of course, we've got our favorites. There's stick and polling and soft and whatever you want to do with
Soft
that.
navigator.
I don't know what I said now because I haven't a clue.
But if you had looked at us, at our video, our thumbnails, and saw our facial expressions, we were all like cracking up listening.
Grabbing your stick and
He had a stick.
He was grabbing his stick and he had a stick and he didn't have a
And then
stick.
there was the polling.
And he was polling from the back seat.
Well, this is the problem with speaking a different language. I don't know what you mean.
Just use your imagination.
Yeah, come on. Poll.
Okay.
You'll
here
get there.
Yeah,
Here are
come
the
on.
other suggestions that I came up with, but they're pretty awful compared. The APG Wayback Machine, which was Greg Peterson's.
Greg,
the Wayback Machine. So
Mhm.
it's kind of ancient history, APG ancient history. So I don't know. What you want to do. A plane in his shorts. You know, you're talking about if he saw that there was something in my shorts. You said that.
Oh,
when
the
you-
bouncing
We've actually
and
done a
Found it
plane in my shorts before.
Have you?
We had a
Okay.
we had a twotter in somebody's shorts.
Okay.
and we all enjoyed it.
I think. Well,
Well, some of us.
I think all of the characters in this one need to be jackass penguins.
Definitely.
Just a full page of Jackass.
See, the problem is
Yeah.
our news was all pretty sad, so we don't get anything funny from our news today, and
I've got
hardly
it.
did any feedback. So
This ties in because we didn't have a jackass penguin. We talked about there not being a jackass penguin, so you need to do a Where's Waldo of jackass penguins.
just a whole screen of Jackass penguins,
And
and
different
one with,
costumes and hats. Yeah, one of them with the.
one of them with a stick and a pole, and
And then, like, we got to
Okay.
have a group of those jackass penguins over there looking very concerned because Olivia tells us that they're concerned that they'd like to know if everything's okay.
there we are.
Or
doing-
there could be a little jackass penguin protest marching down the street.
They could look.
Oh,
They
yeah.
could be looking
No, I like
bemused.
the Where's Waldo of Jacket because I can put crew members in every
That's
now and
perfect.
again instead
Love
of
it.
penguins.
Love it.
But what's the title going to be?
Well, welcome back, or something like that. Like with their, we missed you.
We
or-
missed you.
Yeah.
Waiting in anticipation.
Right. You know.
The
Sorry,
news-
sorry, we missed you last.
Is this
week or
episode
something.
668?
7?
Mhm.
That was
Six-
that we
six-
did.
eight.
Okay. Okay.
Well, this
7
is
we didn't
667.
have.
Well, you might just have to hold on
Oh.
to the stick and polling for the next episode. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop talking.
Well, yeah, you hold on to that stuff.
Okay.
You could call it highly exaggerated death stories. The news of the penguin's demise has been highly exaggerated.
Ooh. Looks like I'm gonna get some more storms if it's going from east to west.
Do you hear what's? I don't know if you can hear what's happening outside my window
No.
right now, but
Craziness,
all kinds of very dark, heavy rain, thunder, lightning.
Jeff, you go to get wet
Ooh,
going to the
nice.
jazz club.
Steph, stop sending us storms.
I'm not. It's. Listen, whoever is to the east of me is sending it to me as well. This doesn't.
That's the
normally
ocean.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ocean's fault.
The ocean is sending it to you. So you see Roswell right there in the middle of the
that-
screen.
You have
I
the big
see-
map. You could go over to the Charlotte area and see. Can you see?
Yeah,
it
we can
over?
prove it's all Steph's fault.
Yeah.
Where's Steph live?
Right here.
Here he is.
Right there. That big red blob.
Where's your storm, Nick? We all have storms. Where's your storm?
I've got gentle 20 degrees centigrade, light winds, very pleasant
We're gonna
English
get some
summer.
storms tonight, I think.
Are you?
Well,
Not-
you're
Well, let's
welcome
take a look
to
at
them, guys.
Liz's point of
Have fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at this
Ooh,
weather.
yeah, that
head.
looks-
Oh, yeah.
If-
Yeah.
depending on which way it's moving.
It's
Oh, it's
coming east.
moving the normal way.
Weird.
east, but
How is it
it'll-
moving
Well,
the normal
backwards and
direction?
forwards. Is that the
You know-
normal way in America?
It always misses Toronto though, so it'll be going sort of northeast. I bet it'll hardly get anything here, but anyway, we'll see.
Wow. These storms have a lot of
You
electricity.
live an exciting life, you lot over there.
A lot of energy in the atmosphere.
Somebody told me it's about the heat created by the amount of asphalt and buildings and stuff.
Microclimate in
Atlanta,
the cities. Yeah.
Atlanta will do the same thing. You'll see these big storms,
Yeah, and
and
they just
Atlanta
go
City
around.
Center, it'll push it away and off of it. It's
Happens
interesting.
here all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
It looks like it's coming in and then like
And that just
Is that
dissipates.
like corn sweat too?
It's
Oh,
probably
yeah, yeah.
related to corn
Ooh.
sweat.
Definitely
Shows
building
corn
sweat.
Corn sweat.
Corn sweat.
Corn sweat?
It's so
Nothing to do
hot,
with
the
anything
corn
you're
are sweating.
it's just the
It was something that Steph mentioned in Rockport.
Rockford.
Rockford. Illinois.
Roquefort's a cheese.
It's like all the
no, that's
moisture
Roquefort.
off gassing from the corn stalks
Yep.
there.
That's exactly what it is.
Ooh,
All right,
gassy
everybody.
corn.
We'll see you next time.
It's the
On
asphalt.
that
Oh,
note.
look, Tim finally showed up.
Oh, glad you could join us.
Beach day.
asphalt.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Oh, and at the top, put a stick in that soft navigator.
Put a stick in that side navigator.
Bye, you guys. We'll see you next
All
time.
right. See you,
Yeah,
everybody.
all the best. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.